Ugh.
Homelessness.
Ugh.
In this city, we recover crime guns regularly. The vast majority, 85 to 90% of them, when they can be traced, are traced to the United States of America. This city has a handgun crime problem. These are not licensed gun owners. We are not arresting people with firearms who are licensed gun owners. That is not happening in this city in any meaningful way. The people we arrest with firearms quite routinely, our officers interdict people with illegal guns, are criminals.
Oh, you don't say. You mean the liberals are fucking assholes? They're trying to take our rights away for no reason? Really? How's it going? It's going good. Had a really good workout. Shoulder is much better. Especially for back training, I can train like nearly 100% normal. For chest and shoulders, I still have to do some like weird gay shit to work around it, but pretty good overall.
They are criminals without firearms licenses, and the guns they have are illegal. The vast majority sourced to the United States of America. That's been the trend for many, many years in this city.
That wasn't some gun lobbyist. That wasn't a conservative politician or some angry firearms owner on YouTube. That was Toronto's...
Yeah, a lot of people who come to Canada, they're like weirded out, like especially if you're from Europe. I think they do that in the States too. But yeah, they don't include the tax on prices when you're looking through shit. It's bizarre. It's probably a racket where it's like, oh, but then we'll sell less product, and like it's probably some like liberal fucking corrupt horse shit where they just decided not to do that just to fool people into paying more.
Police chief standing in front of the country after another horrific shooting and admitting what legal Canadian gun owners have been saying for years. Licensed Canadian gun owners are not the problem. The vast majority of traceable crime guns, 85 to 90%, are coming from the United States. And police are not arresting licensed gun owners in any meaningful way. Those are the police chief's words, not mine. So here's the question. What debate is...
By the way, when licensed gun owners are arrested, it's for the most inane fucking horseshit. And it's just political persecution. So they'll have bizarre laws where you have to use 2 locks when transporting a firearm to a range. So somebody like can very easily make the mistake of only putting 1 lock on. They end up getting pulled over for speeding. They say, hey, I'm a gun owner, just so you know. Then the police check the thing, and then, oh, you only got 1 lock on, arrested. That's what they get arrested for. Like, just inane fucking retarded horseshit. How much lean mass are you up since you started the enhancement? Probably around 35-ish pounds at least.
Is left? What evidence could possibly be clearer? The police chief responsible for Canada's largest city is telling you exactly where the guns are coming from and exactly who's committing the crimes. They're smuggled guns. They're illegal handguns. They're being carried by gang members, violent criminals, and people who have absolutely no intention of following firearms laws. But Ottawa's response is to keep attacking the most screened, licensed, registered, and monitored people in this entire country. The people least likely to commit a crime. People who took the course and passed the test, submitted to daily background checks, followed storage laws, followed transportation laws, renewed their licenses, registered firearms, and remained in contact with the RCMP firearms system. Those are the people this government has chosen to blame. Not because the evidence points towards them, because they're easy to find. Criminals don't register their guns. Smugglers don't submit declarations. Gang members don't care what model numbers Ottawa added to another list. But license owners have names, addresses, and paperwork. So instead of confronting organized crime, border smuggling, and violent...
It's political persecution. That's all it's for. They want to politically persecute conservatives because they disproportionately own firearms. That's all it's for. They do tons of shit like this.
Repeat offenders, politicians target the people already obeying the law and call it public safety. This isn't public safety. It never was. It's theater. And the theater has failed. For years, legal gun owners have been told to sit down, remain quiet, and accept one restriction after another. The handgun freeze, the model bans, the classifications, the confiscation program, the constantly expanding list of firearms that were legal one day and prohibited the next. Not because their owners committed a crime, but because politicians signed another order. No statistics, no study, no debate. And every time they do it, they stand in front of cameras and pretend they just took another gun away from a gang member. They didn't. They took property away from a farmer, a hunter, a sports shooter, a veteran.
Oh, don't forget the people who shoot the fucking dumb N-words who fucking break into their fucking house with like 5 or 6 or 8 of their fucking gang member friends so that they can rob them fucking blind. Yeah, they also arrest those people who are just defending themselves and their fucking home and family and property. Oh, you're shooting the fucking black people who are trying to steal your fucking shit and kill you? We can't have that. The liberals love crime. There's legal gun owners stopping crime? We gotta take the guns away from them and lock them up. They're stopping crime. How dare they? Fucking liberals.
Our police, our military, a Canadian who followed every rule the government placed in front of them. Meanwhile, the Toronto police chief is openly telling the country that the people committing handgun crimes are not licensed gun owners. So where's the evidence that confiscating legally acquired rifles will stop illegal handgun shootings anywhere? Where's the proof that spending billions of our tax dollars chasing licensed Canadians will prevent the next gang shooting? They haven't shown it. It doesn't exist. They repeat words like military style, assault style, weapons of war, but political language is not evidence. A frightening photograph at a press conference is not evidence. A politician pointing at a gun they don't understand is not evidence. And exploiting the victims of violent criminals to attack people who had nothing to do with the crime is not leadership. It's cowardice and pathetic. And let's talk about their so-called buyback. First of all, it isn't a buyback. The government never owned these firearms. Canadians bought them legally with government permission after being licensed and vetted with their taxed money. You can't buy back something that was never yours. It's compensated confiscation. And even that program has exposed how completely this government has...
Okay, this is what absolutely exposes the fucking bullshit about this gun buyback program. Oh, we want to, like, confiscate these weapons so that they're not used to commit crimes. Guess what? In order to actually apply for this gun buyback program, you have to be a legal licensed gun owner and you have to legally own these guns. So if you're, like, a fucking criminal or something, or you illegally acquired these guns, you cannot opt into the buyback program. They'll just arrest you. So they want to take crime guns off the street, but they are deliberately avoiding confiscating crime guns. So, like, I don't know why I live in fucking crazy retard land. I'm surrounded by fucking beta male crazy fucking retards. They're trying to convince you, they're trying to take away crime guns, and they're telling the criminals, no, keep your guns. We're only trying to take away the guns from the people who don't commit crime. Keep your guns. Commit crime. Break into people's houses. Commit home invasions. Steal cars. Kill innocent people. We only want to take away the guns from people who would stop you from doing that. How the fuck do they get voted in?
Has lost the trust of Canadian gun owners. As of June 8th, the government reported 68,717 firearms declared through the individual compensation program. Declared, not necessarily surrendered and destroyed at that point. You may have heard people claim that only around 2% of people complied, but the truth is even more embarrassing for Ottawa. Nobody can produce a trustworthy national compliance percentage because the government doesn't know with any certainty how many affected firearms exist. The government previously estimated roughly 150,000 affected firearms, while industry estimates show millions. Depending on which estimate is used, the apparent declaration rate changes enormously. That uncertainty alone should terrify taxpayers. How do you budget a national confiscation program when you don't even know how many firearms you're trying to collect? These people are clueless. How do you measure success? How do you estimate enforcement? How do you justify the cost? They built the policy first, then tried to locate the facts afterwards. But here's what the declaration figures do prove. Potentially hundreds of thousands or millions of effective firearms remain outside of the program, and an enormous number of Canadians have no confidence in what the government is doing. That isn't a minor administrative problem. That's a
Favorite esports games? They are all completely and utterly fucking horseshit, hot garbage, suck ass, unplayable fucking pieces of shit. Every single fucking esports game is just pure dog shit, unless you include fighting games. If you include fighting games, that's a different story. It's a little, and that gets a little complicated. This might be a controversial take, but I think the best fighting esports game of all time that's like actually being played in competition is probably Virtua Fighter 5. Like you're gonna have a really hard time convincing me that that is not the most or one of the most like balanced fighting games that have been made, especially considering it's 3D. Most of the Tekken games have been like really fucking broken competitively. Tekken 7 was probably the most balanced, but even then, like you've got fucking Leroy, and even after the balance patches, still fucked. They literally had to change like a lot of the defensive systems in Tekken like fundamentally because they had Akuma in the game. Like that was a fucking joke. Tekken 8 is getting better. Hopefully they completely unfuck it, but there's still like characters that are just complete and utter fucking bullshit. Like I literally can't bring myself to go back to playing that game. Because, like, you just run into fucking Victor. And then, I just cannot fucking stand getting teleport fucking sword slashed over and over again. And then his insane fucking wall travel. Like, my God. On the biggest fucking level, that huge Coliseum stage, he can fucking wall splat you from the middle of the fucking arena. So there's just still some fucking insane bullshit in that. What else? Mortal Kombat X was pretty well balanced. I think MK11 was pretty decent too. Like obviously there's high tier, low tier characters, but it's not that big of a deal. MK9 was actually pretty decent too.
Whatever happened to Destiny's Unfuck America tour? Did he stop that? Is he going on a Democratic Socialists of America tour now?
I'm not entirely sure, but whether he realizes or not, yes, he's going on a Democratic Socialist of America tour. Thanks for the donation, CD. Dodo, donate $2. Let me see. Being briefed on today's horrifying stabbings on the Upper West Side, where an Asian man and Jewish man were attacked, according to witness and victim statements. Perpetrator yelled Allah Akbar during the both attacks. I'm relieved that both victims are in stable condition. Oh, you don't say. Allahu Akbar. Isn't that weird? The NYPD responded immediately, arrested Raul Morales in connection with both assaults. I'm grateful to the officers, NYPD. So you love crime, right? So you're just gonna let him out? He probably did it because he's poor. Just give him free money. Fucking retarded. Fucking Mom Donnie.
Women prioritize consistently across all cultures kindness and intelligence above all of other traits in terms of long-term.
That is not true. The one trait they seem to prioritize more than anything is generosity, but that's because they benefit from it. If you're with a generous guy, you get his money. What they're actually sexually attracted to are dark triad traits. So narcissism, psychopathy, Machiavellianism, and they're attracted to men who have some combination of those traits. They're not necessarily like full-blown psychopaths or anything, but women are attracted to dark triad traits. That's what they're most attracted to. And again, the one that isn't really related to that technically is generosity, but that's just because they benefit from it directly. So
partners. My final surrounded claim is that the most attractive men are those who like and respect women.
I think they're.
yeah, that's why. Oh my God. That's why Ted Bundy, the serial rapist, serial killer, had tons of women fawning over him. And he got fucking married and had children while he was on death row, right? Give me a fucking break. Just so fucking ridiculous.
There are kind of two different hypothetical case studies that would show.
There's actually a romance author, a female romance author, who put this really well. Women like dangerous men who are a threat to them, who are scary, but they are like so fucking sexy and attractive and like give you what you want that you're willing to take that risk. Like she specifically mentioned, like for a man to truly be attractive, there is an actual potential for him to rape you. This is a female romance author, a really well-regarded female romance author. So, women, like, it's probably a biological fucking thing. Like, when we were living in tribal societies and shit, women wanted dangerous men who would, like, protect them. But, like, again, that's kind of the ideal man. A powerful, dangerous man who is capable of committing violence, who ideally won't commit violence against their partner, but will commit violence against other people if necessary. And, you know, tall, sexy, you know, big dick, all that other shit, money.
Know that this isn't the case. I actually wish what I'm about to say wasn't the case.
Okay.
But there is we all know the example of the man who is really not a great guy. And, you know, her friends are telling her like, oh, you shouldn't date this guy. But she's just so attracted to him that she's kind of hooked into that. Mm-hmm. And then the counter side, we know the kind of guys that are really nice, who are really respectful, who are buying dinners, who are getting flowers, who are doing all these things. And they're just not that attractive. Right. And so no matter how respectful they are, no matter how good they are, no matter how kind of nice guy they are, right. And that doesn't mean that there's a continuum of you have to be a bad boy, you have to be a nice guy. I think every good man should be both. You should be attractive, you should be strong, you should be like kind of masculine energy, and you should be a nice person. Right. But these are two different continuums. And so it's not being nice and being respectful and kind of being really polite to him is what makes you attractive. It's actually kind of irrelevant.
Okay. Let me introduce another dimension to that spectrum. I would argue that nice guys are not actually nice. They're usually being,
for sure.
They're usually being nice in a transactional way, right?
Well, yeah, like that's another thing. There's definitely women who get the ick, and like you can tell it when somebody's being nice to get something from you. There's an interesting commentary. Like this is part of the Conan the Barbarian novels. Conan the Barbarian is this like really gruff, you know, gritty, like direct kind of brute, but he has really good moral character. He will save innocent people. He'll, you know, stand up for, you know, people who are being persecuted. He'll save women. But like the people who are like sophisticated and nice and wealthy and like act, you know, like very civilized, those are the devious, like, you know, kind of scoundrel, villain characters in the plot. So a lot of people use kindness and politeness, and like won't swear, will be nice to you, will smile when they see you, because they know that's how they can get advantage of you and manipulate you. That's exactly what serial killers like Ted Bundy did. The reason they're able to get so many victims is because they're charming and they know how to lie and they know how to work your emotions. So, like, kindness and politeness is very much often a, it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of like, what, you know, a fucking asshole will do is like some kind of, it's like hedging your bets, you know? But a lot of people who are kind of like direct and will just say what they feel, they don't have to lie to you. They're not trying to manipulate you. They're just, what you see is what you get. And if you don't like me, you can like fucking leave. And if you do, then, you know, cool. So when people are kind of assholes, it may be a sign that, yeah, they might be a bit of an asshole, but they're not actually trying to deceive you.
It's like,
I bought you flowers. Now will you like me?
yeah, let's have sex.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
and women smell that a mile away, and it's a complete turnoff. And obviously,
creepy. Yeah.
it is very creepy. I would argue that assholes are also quite transactional, right? And the only difference between the nice guy and the asshole is the nice guy is transactional and a very manipulative. Here, let me buy you flowers so I can get what I want. The asshole is like, I'm just gonna say whatever I need to say to you to get what I want.
And that works, unfortunately, often enough in these kind of short-term relationships.
It works in the short term, and it works with insecure women. There is a third type of guy who is just not transactional.
Yeah.
And is like, this is who I am. I like you. Do you want to go out? And if she says yes, great. If she says no, great. He's going to go find somebody else.
Yeah.
Those are the most attractive men. Women prioritize consistently across all.
Beta. If you hadn't noticed, the Republican Party actually now controls all three branches of the federal government and most of the state legislators, and yet people like Nathan Robinson will still find a way to blame Democrats for their current state of affairs. I mean, if Democrats were running the show, I can guarantee you some things would probably be better, but a lot of things would be fucking worse, especially geopolitically. Questionable if the Venezuela operation would have happened. Almost certainly the Iran operation wouldn't happen, and Israel would get less support. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that looks neat. Yeah, that's actually fucking sick. Yeah, that is actually really fucking sick. That's a nice kitty. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Yo nigga, why every time when I open your stream you're always whining and complaining about something? I don't like listening to a whiny little bitch just cracking his high-pitched voice because your balls never dropped. You're a female on her period or was.
Oh, that's nice. Thanks for the donation, 21st. 21st, only $2, your voice just cracked. That's nice. Thanks for the donation, 21st.
Can you draw an image of Hassan Piker shocking his dog while Zoran Mamdani spanks his ass?
I suppose I can do that. Uh, what was the highest weight you were ever at? 285. I got pretty chunky trying to bulk to bench the 405.
Richard Ramirez had flocks of women come to his court hearings. He got more attention from women while in jail than he did in regular society. To this day on all Richard Ramirez TikTok edits it is flooded with women saying how he's hot.
Yeah. Like, they're especially crazy. That's not normal for women to be, like, into serial killers like Richard Ramirez, but, like, there's a reason only women do that. They're, like, you know, the top 5th percentile of women, you know, something like that, who like the full-on crazy, dangerous, strange psychopaths. But the rest, the other 95%, they like a guy who has, you know, the dark triad traits, who, like, again, are dangerous, have the psychopathy, narcissism, Machiavellianism type thing. Thanks for the donation, though, Gold Injector.
Thoughts on Bad Empanada?
He's a pencil neck, beta male, faggot retard who whines and cries about fucking bullshit because he wants attention and hates Jews. Thanks for the donation, dude. JP donated $2.
When I say you shouldn't watch or support any of these other influencers, it is not a joke. They literally have meetings on how to harass me next and how to send people over and spam report my content.
No,
At
they
least
don't.
10 to 20% of my videos get taken down and then are instantly put back up because they were falsely flagged. And every single time I try to live stream, I just get taken down immediately. Anytime one word slips out of my mouth, instant 3-day ban. And that is because all these other influencers don't want me on here. They want to continue to steal my diet and health advice, and they want to continue to scam people and take advantage of them with their snake oil products. So me coming on here trying to help people, I end up getting harassed, and it's completely ridiculous. It's completely insane. I'm here trying to help people, trying to run a legitimate business, and all these other people are harassing me, and no one ever knows about it.
He really thinks people give a shit about him. The only people who watch his content are like actual full-on troglodyte retards who are actually into this shit for whatever fucking reason, and like people like me who just watch him ironically or hate watch him. Nobody gives a shit about him. Nobody puts any effort into fucking with him at all. He's just a deranged retard that nobody would put any effort into fucking with. So, you know, like there's literally nothing to be jealous of with this guy. He's just fucking weird to begin with. Like nobody would want to be like Frank. He's short, insecure, gay. Like he's a fucking retarded gay midget. No one's jealous of him. Like there are people who will fuck with me and like send me fucking death threats or call the police on me, dox me and shit like that. Because there's actually something to be jealous of, and they're just fucking losers who want to like try to bring me down. Frank is a fucking gay retarded midget. Nobody like will bother you. Tufano is misogynistic against women in this video of him being cheap over $20.
Explain that again.
Document fees or taxes? Any document fees?
So if I pay a document fee for the auction company to give me a title for the vehicle I paid for separately, I have to pay New York State sales tax on the title fee.
If it's on that bill of sale, on the invoice, we charge
The
that.
invoice states that I paid $100 for the vehicle. I had to pay the company separately $115 for the title fee. That's not included in the price of the vehicle.
It's a document fee. You get charged
Give me 3 out-of-state sales forms, please. I'm not going to pay anything if you want to do it that way. These vehicles are purchased in the state of Pennsylvania.
done doing that. We are
Okay, so I understand that, and you guys gave me a hard time last time. So I'm coming here today, and I'm saying I will pay taxes on the purchase price of the vehicle. I'm not paying tax on a title fee that the auction company charged me separately.
not going to pay the tax on what we're saying is taxable, then you can go to another
That's not
office.
taxable.
Then we're done. Go to another office. We're not doing that.
So I've driven up here 2 hours 3 times, and you guys are going to have to explain to me why you're not accepting my forms. I came here with a valid title. I gave you a bill of sale. I said I'm willing to pay tax on the value of the vehicle.
Would I consider moving to California? Well, I'm not really interested in the state stealing all of my fucking money so that they can throw it away and give it to a bunch of deranged fucking drug addict homeless people to give them a fucking apartment that they're going to shit all over the place in and destroy and like buy drugs. And also, like on top of that, they're just going to lock me in jail if I ever have to shoot any of the fucking crazy deranged drug addicts that they give money to so that they can commit like more fucking crime. So like, again, as soon as like some fucking jackass tries to jack my car or break into my fucking house, what do they do in California? Oh, well, you're not supposed to stop crime. We love crime in California. That's why we give homeless drug addicts money and free drugs and free room and board and food so that they can commit more crime easier. So we're going to have to take away your gun and charge you. Thank you. Yeah, so fuck California. And again, on top of that, like the wildfire problem is like getting pretty fucking bad too. Like there's a lot of climate change shit where California just long term seems like a bad idea. I would not move there. I'd much rather move to somewhere like Florida. Again, some of the climate change stuff is affecting Florida, some of the hurricanes, like the hot weather. I can deal with extremely hot weather fine. I've been through a hurricane in Florida. Like, it's not that big of a fucking deal. But, like, just the general culture there and, like, the fact that I can own guns and the police are like, please shoot the criminals for us so we don't have to do as much work. Fucking based. And then I can go to Disney World whenever I want. So, yeah, I'd rather live in fucking Florida. Yeah, I saw that. Seth Rogen was saying crime in California isn't that bad. He only got carjacked like 15 times. And, oh, the insurance takes care of it, so who cares? Seth Rogen, what a fucking bitch, dude. Have you been to Lake Ontario or Lake Erie, Niagara Falls when you were in Toronto? Well, Lake Ontario is literally right downtown. So yeah. I also lived right by the lake when I lived in the Toronto apartment. I have been to Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is weird. Like, right at the falls, it's nice, but then if you move just slightly out of the touristy kind of area, it gets really kind of seedy and gross. Never been to Lake Erie, though.
Okay, I'll leave. Am I doing something wrong?
Yeah, you're not going to create a disturbance and yell at our clerks.
I'm not creating a disturbance.
No,
I was trying to get it
You're yelling at the clerks. Okay, leave the building.
Am I yelling?
Leave the building. Come back in today, you'll be arrested for trespass.
I'm not coming back here, that's for sure.
Well, good. Then there won't be an issue.
So you guys basically hold people hostage for... You guys just make up what you want to pay. You guys make up what you want the people to pay on, and when people argue or say they don't want to pay it at all or try to get what's fair, you kick them out of the building? You don't care at all. She has no clue what she's talking about, and all you said was
we all have to pay taxes. Take it up with someone other than...
I was going...
You know...
I'm joined live in the studio by Nicole Whittle, who's a vegan content creator who posts on...
Maybe I'll watch that later. That's a little long for right now. I've still got to draw this fucking thing. Thanks for the donation, JP.
You claimed Kamala Harris would have done the Iran operation if she were president, because her military advisors would have told her to. Now you're saying it wouldn't have happened? I think it would have. It just would have played out differently than it has.
Maybe. I'm not sure if I don't remember saying that. With almost, without a doubt, Israel probably wouldn't have gotten the support it had. The Iran thing, maybe. I have a feeling Democrats, if they were to have engaged Iran, they would have fucked up in just a different way. So the initial strike wouldn't have been nearly as severe. But they very likely would have like maybe ensured better security through the Strait of Hormuz, but because they weren't as like as aggressive with targeting Iran, they may have it may have just ended up still shutting down the Strait of Hormuz. Who knows though? I wish we had a what if machine. Thanks for the donation, Sid. Let me see. Dodo donate $2.
Miss November, Russia stopped its war in Ukraine.
Once again. Okay, thank you, press. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Speak louder.
Time to depart. Thank you, press. All right, guys, let's go. Come on.
Let me hear that again.
Mr. Rubio, will you ask the Foreign Minister today about Russia helping to target U.S. troops? Is Russia helping Iran target Americans?
Please, November, Russia stopped its war in Ukraine.
Once again. Okay, thank you, press. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Speak louder.
Like, I mean, I don't think that's really a gotcha for Rubio. It's, you know. College Democrats of America, Jewish Caucus statement on streamer Son Piker's appearance. Okay. College Democrats, America, decision to platform anti-Semitic misogynist streamer, undermine Jewish safety, blah, blah, blah. Amid attempts to organize a walkout during Piker's appearance, attendees were permitted to enter but prevented from exiting by national board members, citing security concerns. What the fuck? Delegates from at least one state were advised not to post photos with Piker on official accounts to avoid further controversy. It's crazy. A bunch of Jewish students locked in a room, forced to listen to an insane Maoist who calls Jews pig dogs. You're not locking me in a fucking room with Hassan Piker. If anything, you'd be locked in that fucking room with me. These Jews have to stop taking fucking shit. Like, take fucking testosterone, lift fucking weights. Like, more of these Jews need to get fucking jacked and just beat ass. That is fucking nuts.
Most power plants today operate by burning chemical energy. That is not very efficient.
We've already seen that one, dude. You sent that to me yesterday.
Please, November, Russia stopped its war in Ukraine.
Okay, thank you, press. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
We literally already saw that clip. It's just a different angle.
From espionage to arson, European intelligence services are sounding the alarm on a dangerous new trend: Russia's disposable agents. Who are they and how do they operate? They aren't traditional spies. They are ordinary people or local criminals hired for one-off hit jobs, recruited almost entirely on Telegram. The deal? Quick cash, simple tasks, and zero direct contact with.
Being a nihilist and acknowledging that there's benefits to living is not a contradiction. You don't know what a contradiction is. So what is the proposition and its negation? You can recognize that there is no meaning to life, but also recognize that there are benefits to living. That doesn't mean it has a fucking meaning. Thank you, retard, for your dumbass fucktard commentary.
Their handlers. Just recently, 2 unidentified individuals were detained in Serbia, suspected of working for Russian intelligence. German media report that they were disposable operatives planning bomb attacks inside Germany. And this isn't an isolated incident. Just months earlier, a Serbian court convicted 3 people of spying for Russia. Their assignment was to stage incidents targeting Jewish and Muslim communities in France and Germany to stir local chaos. They were found responsible for splashing green paint on the Holocaust Museum and 3 synagogues in Paris, as well as leaving pigs' heads in front of 9 mosques. The orders, instructions, and money for the group's actions were provided by structures of the intelligence service of the Russian Federation, according to the verdicts seen by RFERL. And what about mysterious packages that exploded in warehouses across the UK, Germany, and Poland 2 years ago? They were disguised as fake cosmetics and massage pillows. One of the suspects, a Russian national named Alexander Bezrukavi, was captured in Bosnia-Herzegovina and extradited to Poland to face terrorism charges. European intelligence chiefs warned that this is part of Moscow's widening.
What do you think about Todd Lee's idea of keeping testosterone at a TRT dose and using Masteron as the main muscle-building compound? Well, for one thing, it retard-proofs everything. Like, a lot of people are stupid and they don't really know how to balance, like, their testosterone dose, manage estrogen, and some people do have DHT sides, and, again, you kind of have to figure out how much you convert. So it retard-proofs everything. The problem with that is Masteron tends to be harsher on HDL, and it doesn't have the beneficial effects that testosterone has on LDL. It also inhibits collagen synthesis, If you're taking growth hormone along with it, it probably ends up just not mattering. But yeah, like it just testosterone, as long as you know how to manage estrogen, and for some people DHT, I think running higher doses of test, like an upper tolerable dose, and then sprinkling Masteron is a better strategy than like a little bit of test and then Masteron's your main driver there. I like, again, if you're smart enough to do it, I just think running higher doses of test and then everything else is a sprinkle. That's probably a better strategy. Like, at least for like skin quality, integrity of connective tissue, and probably long-term health. But again, everyone's different too. Like some people do not tolerate testosterone at higher doses as well. So again, the Masteron thing might be better. Like it just depends. Like it's not really a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Hybrid war to destabilize nations backing Ukraine. From arson and GPS jamming to cyber attacks, Russia has ramped up its European sabotage playbook using cheap, deniable, and completely disposable operatives. From espionage to arson, European intelligence...
Alright, thanks for the donation, dude. Holy fuck, am I gonna be able to draw this fucking picture at some point? I hate... What is with Streamlabs? I keep having to refresh the fucking page.
Denormalize Israel. Basically, we've got two choices.
Caitlin Johnstone, here's a fucking pro tip. Don't listen to a dude with a girl's name who sounds like a faggot. Thanks for the donation, dude. This guy's face is
shocking that Destiny didn't upload the debate. Even though you got plenty angry and that should have been content. I think the positions he argued for were just so insane he thought there's no way he could upload that.
Bro, he was defending the jizya. He was defending the jizya, lied about it, and he said his sources were Wikipedia. Yeah, no shit. That may in fact have been like the most embarrassing statement from him. People were sending me screenshots of his chat, and they were saying like they were all on my side. Like that was actually fucking retarded. I also think calling him out for the DSA propaganda that he promotes, even though he complains about them, I think that's also embarrassing for him. Like that just didn't go well. And again, the fucking Islam defending bullshit, like it proves my point. This is what the DSA does. Oh, there's no problem with Muslim immigration. They're degenerate fucking crazy wacko scumbags who want to overtake our fucking culture and force us to pay a jizya or kill us. But no, like it's fine. Muslims are good. And then there he goes, fucking reciting the fucking DSA talking points while claiming he hates the DSA. Like he's just completely fucking brain rotted, and he proved my point. The entire time, he proved my fucking point. So yeah, I'm not surprised. Thanks for the donation though, Sid.
Who is the best supplier for retatrutide and sermorelin in the USA? Don't know which peptide companies to trust. Looking for high purity and reasonable prices.
Is sermorelin a secretagogue? I don't know why the fuck you want to get sermorelin. Right now, there's a growth hormone shortage because of import restriction things that are happening. You can still find it. It's trickling in. Websites that do supply growth hormone, you kind of have to like look throughout the day and refresh the page for them to like have it in stock for like 5 minutes. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but you can still get it. Sermorellin's kind of garbage. The only thing that I'd really recommend Sermorellin for is for very specific things. Apparently it's good for dissolving visceral fat, but so is growth hormone. Every peptide company selling legitimate, like actual retatrutide, it's going to be extremely high purity. It's extremely easy to have Retta at high purity. Extremely easy. I've never seen it below 98%. So I can't give you any recommendations for peptide websites, but check out Chase Irons. He has some stuff on his Instagram. I'm a little worried about recommending peptide stuff because YouTube TOS, but yeah, check out Chase Irons' Instagram. He'll have some stuff on there where you can take a look. Thanks for the donation, Vegan Groiper.
Do you miss when Jarl lived in that Toronto apartment and Jarl could go to the lakeside to walk Lucy? Those were the days, man. Crazy how time flies, eh?
I fucking hated that apartment. The only thing I liked about it was the area. It was very easy to get downtown. Yeah, it was nice that it was next to the lake, but the apartment itself was fucking horrible. Wasn't even that, like, the apartment was bad, it's that everyone in the apartment was a fucking asshole. Thanks for the donation, dude.
Did you hear that? Russia is paying people in the West to incite violence against Jews and Muslims to make people like you more divisive and angry. They're getting exactly what they want. You're a useful idiot for Russia. How does it feel?
That's nice, dude. I don't know why the fuck That makes literally no fucking sense. Oh, I have to be nice to Muslims. Okay. 'Cause Russia bad, right. Sure, dude. That ain't happening. Maybe if Muslims stop being crazy fucking whack jobs, things will be different, but oh wait. I have to do this differently. Kind of more like a cat than a dog. Kind of fuck this up. I don't know, man. Dogs are hard. And then Zoran. Okay, there's Hassan Piker shocking his dog while Zoran Mondani
Hey
spanks
dude,
his
will we
ass.
ever get Jasmine's side of the story on how the relationship went?
No. So there you go. There's the drawing you wanted me to do. Wrist jar. I'm not watching this. Thanks for the donation, dude. Dodo donated $2.
Limits in Congress. I think term limits are very important because I see what's happening. The other day, a senator I knew got a text, a great guy, from his wife. And she said, when you get home, I want to have you immediately come up the stairs and make love to me. And he said, I can't do both. You know what? In other words, can't go up the stairs and make love. Does anybody get that? Well, I thought that was actually pretty good. That was actually the only thing I thought was good in this whole frickin' stupid speech that they wrote. That was the only good one, and that went down with not exactly great laughter. I think, in other words, you can't go up the stairs and make love, too, So we're looking for term limits. Does anybody understand this?
It's fucking weird.
Aside, I do think we need term limits in Congress.
What the fuck was that?
Administration, a once feared and powerful regime that relentlessly attacked America, has finally been toppled. Their former leaders have been removed, and they're now being run by a gay dictator facing internal divisions. But I, for one, wish Barry Weiss all the best at CBS News. For example, under my administration, a once feared and powerful regime being run by a gay dictator.
Yeah. Okay. Watermelon seeds, what the hell?
Hi friends, today we are making something truly special. The vegan mozzarella balls that are creamy, smooth, bouncy.
Okay, I've seen this before.
Can Democrats actually hang on podcasts, on YouTube, and in the manosphere? I asked that question to Brian Tyler Cohen. I think Lovett said this on his podcast in 2024. Democrats have the front of the classroom energy, and Republicans have that back of the classroom energy.
This is the new, could you grab a beer with this person? That's so antiquated, but now we don't even have to have it be the theoretical question of, not could you grab a beer with this person, but could you hang with this person? And we don't have to guess, because when you listen to these podcasts and you create these parasocial relationships with content creators and different podcast hosts, you have the ability to hang with these people because they have audiences of, millions of people who are tuning in and hanging with those people. It's not just theoretical anymore. You actually have to be able to deliver.
Why are you sending me these fucking
stunning
videos?
admission from the Trump administration. Officials from the Department of Energy now acknowledge they cut billions in federal grants explicitly because those grants, that money, was supposed to go to states that didn't vote for President Trump in 2024. When it announced the cuts in October, the Trump administration said that it had, quote, determined that these projects didn't adequately advance the nation's energy needs, weren't economically viable. The administration acknowledged.
Who knows? Yeah, probably knowing Trump administration, it's probably corruption. Thanks for that donation, Dodo. Okay, Nick Fuentes.
Chicago, I feel like you said you want to ask me, why are you a Nazi? Inclusion has been our greatest strength.
How do you see the Iran war ending? Probably eventually going to get a regime change, and Iran's just going to go completely fucking broke.
Diversity has been our greatest strength. White people do feel like we are being boxed out. A 26-year-old white kid doesn't feel like he has access because he's been canceled, and the problem is black people. I didn't say the problem is black people. Well, you just did, Nick. You just said the problem is crime, and we know who's doing the crime in Chicago. Do you get what I'm saying? Yes. About the Holocaust things? Oh. About that. We get to say whatever we want on the internet. We get to deny the Holocaust. As far as Jews are concerned in general, I think that everybody in the country should be treated with dignity and respect and have their civil rights. What do you think about somebody like Mamdani? Personally, I don't like him. Like, for example, on 4th of July, when he takes the opportunity to sit there with, let's be honest, not a single white person. What about fucking Donald Trump? There's no ideological core to Donald Trump. No, I agree with you. Don Jr. got the largest loan ever given by the Department of Defense. Vance owes his entire political career to Peter Thiel. Whichever firm is the one to develop ASI, that could confer dictatorial-like powers upon the CEO of that company. Everything that we think about the way in which we exist in the world completely changes. Increasingly with Uber, Airbnb, banking apps, you can't live your life without the tech platform. Everything that AI is built on
Dodo $92. Oh, cats. Those are meow meow cats. That cat is looking at the other cats. Oh no, how does he get down? Even Tim Pool. Ukraine has been fighting for the very existence against an evil dictator. See now the importance of Ukrainian victory against Russia. What caused this change? Tim Pool are doing 180 degree turns. Obviously being bought and are being paid for this drastic shift in stance regarding Ukraine. If you're wondering where the Danish tax kroner for Ukraine end up, take a look here. I don't know what the interest is. I have no idea. Fucking weird.
Joe Biden. He had great results, 70. You know, the best president is first of all the president for your country. I
Donald
know
Trump.
for today, Donald
You
Trump.
believe he's the best president?
The best president of the United States.
Yeah.
Now history will answer because I think that Lincoln.
He freed the slaves. But after Lincoln, who do you think is the best?
I know a lot.
President Trump is going to watch this interview.
No, Trump is good.
He gave
Trump,
you a MAGA hat.
no,
I heard a story. I heard a story.
I wonder if there is some monetary incentive for them to do this. It's really weird seeing them do this complete U-turn.
Democrats have been branded as socialists for longer than I can remember. I remember President
Buddy, you literally call yourself a socialist, so...
Obama being called a socialist almost every single day by Republicans across this country, and it didn't stop him from delivering not just on a first term, but a second term, and things that we still talk.
Yeah, the difference is he wasn't a socialist and he didn't call himself a socialist. Look what happened to Bernie Sanders. Everyone called him a socialist. He said, "Oh, yeah, yes, I'm a socialist. Socialism good." Nobody voted for him. So
Talk about to this day. And I do have to push a little bit on you, Roland, on the premise around blue and red and purple, because I believe what's at the heart of this agenda is the struggle of the working person. And as much as we believe
he's making everything more expensive for the working person.
Ourselves in New York to be exceptional, we also know that working people aren't just struggling in New York City, they're struggling everywhere across the country. And this message is about how can we ensure that
Yes, I am dieting.
when you work every single day, that you come home at the end of the day and you can actually afford to pay those bills for your housing, for your childcare, for your groceries. How do we reduce the distance between the potential to people are hungry?
He's full of shit. What is this?
Did you know that you can make the ultimate shawarma style flatbreads using mushrooms? That is ridiculous. To give the mushrooms an incredible texture, I press them down in a hot pan until golden like this. Now combine your spices with olive oil, lemon juice, maple syrup, harissa and salt for a fiery marinade. This is where you'd usually leave the mushrooms to marinate overnight, but I'm using Bipod's vacuum seal to do the job in a few minutes. In the meantime, you can make a quick onion pickle by heating a brine of vinegar, water, sugar and salt and pouring it over the onions. Once cooled, seal them up and crack on with the final step. Using Bipod means that I can prep a salad even days in advance, but keep it fresh until needed. Then it's time to roast the mushrooms on a shawarma style spit until they are beautifully gnarly like this and ready to be carved. By now our onions have already transformed, so it's time to dress the salad and assemble the feast. A bit of tahini sauce makes the perfect base layer, followed by the rest of the toppings for the ultimate shawarma.
Yeah, looks good. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Is ours. That's what they're stealing from us. I want to find common ground of how much of a shithead Donald Trump is. We can get there. We can get there. Okay.
The kind of first question that I had whenever I caught wind that you wanted to do an interview like this is, why now? What made you want to sit down for this kind of interview?
Well, I think it's an interesting conversation to have all of us here. And, I think it's a moment in our country when there's a lot of realignment. I think that people recognize, especially in the past couple of years, I'm like a non-conventional critic, maybe, of what's happening. And so I think it'll be an interesting, productive conversation. I think it'll be different.
But I mean, specifically, because we kind of share a publicist, I heard that you wanted to kind of... Okay, we have a publicist that you hit up, and you said that you wanted to talk.
I don't have a family doctor. I had a family doctor, and she decided to get pregnant. So my recommendation is to never get a family doctor who is a woman and who is within breeding age, because they're going to quit.
Talk to someone who would give you kind of a fair shot to like clear up some things and maybe some misconceptions about you and the things you believe.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think that, I'm somebody who I think like you, actually, maybe we have this in common, is kind of pigeonholed in a certain way for things that we've done in the past or things that we've said.
I'm a crackhead.
But I'm racist, right?
I got pigeonholed there. Mine is true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mine's a little true. Maybe a little, no. But yeah, so I think it'd be good to clear up some of the misrepresentations and put out something accurate.
So what do you think is the most misrepresented thing about you?
Well, I think really the whole image everybody has about me. When you mentioned me, I think on a recent show, you said you want to ask me, why are you a Nazi?
Yeah.
And that's how everybody knows me. Everybody thinks of me as a white supremacist Nazi, and I don't think that's really true at all. I think that we definitely have different values. I mean, you're more from the left, I'm more from...
Dodo donates.
So suppose one learns all these equations, but then finds himself in the unfortunate position of falling into a black hole. What would they see?
Great question. There's actually two different perspectives you could take. One is the perspective
That dude has really dorky shorts.
for me watching you falling into the black hole. The other is the perspective of you falling into the black hole. What I see, first, you'll go faster and faster and faster towards the black hole as you fall down the gravitational potential. But then something strange will happen, which is you'll stop going faster and you'll start going slower. And the reason you're going slower is that as I watch you, you start to get gravitational time dilation as you fall down here, and I start to see you running slow, your clock running slow. As I watch you, I'm presumably
My psychiatrist and counselor both went on maternity leave and never saw them again. Yeah, no shit. Never, if you can help it, never ever get like a doctor or like somebody you rely on, for constant like medical whatever, who's a woman who is within the age of like breeding. They are going to have kids and they will quit their fucking job. No woman who is a doctor is dating a dude who makes less money than them. So they are dating another doctor or a lawyer or like a hedge fund manager or something. They do not need to work. So as soon as they get pregnant, they are never returning back to the fucking workforce ever again. Again, especially like you can just look at the statistics. Once they reach the age where they're between 30, 35, that's when women quit the fucking workforce. They get pregnant, they're married, they're just never working again.
using light to watch you, that light gets more and more redshifted. The wavelength gets longer and longer. The longer the wavelength of light, the harder it is even to really see you. And eventually I just stop seeing you entirely. There's a final photon that I see that you emit, and then you just fade to black. I never see you cross the event horizon.
Let's make it a bit easier to have them.
No, these are drugs. So the wellness community and the longevity community argue that these are, essential aids now to allow people to live longer and healthier lives. But these are real drugs. And most of them are injectable. We have in the United States the Food and Drug Administration, whose entire purpose is to ensure that the drugs that Americans use are both safe and effective. None of the agents, none of the
FDA is a complete joke, and they are run by ideology, entirely ideological, nonsensical bias. You can look at their stance change on testosterone. So they were making all these stupid, ridiculous warnings about testosterone replacement therapy and hormone replacement therapy, even for women. They were saying it increases risk of fucking cancer, which it doesn't. It increases risk of heart attacks, strokes, formation of blood clots, which it doesn't. It actually does the opposite. It's cardioprotective. And this was during an era when there was the whole anti-steroid fucking thing. Joe Biden was in fucking Congress saying how important it is to make steroids illegal and ban them from fucking sports because this fucking loser couldn't play baseball. And lo and behold, the FDA had this ideological stance against fucking testosterone and even female hormone replacement just because they didn't like the idea of using hormones as medicine. It was just an ideological stance. Then guess what happens? You have the fucking Trump administration coming in. You've got dudes like RFK Jr. who are pro-TRT, pro-peptides, and all the shit. Oh, suddenly they update their fucking stance. Now we actually listen to the science. It actually is cardioprotective, doesn't increase risk of fucking cancer, clearly helps you fucking live longer. So like it's just all a fucking joke. The FDA is just run by ideological fucking dumbasses. Like I get why there's sort of a need for institutions like this, but it's really just like the institution itself is just a complete fucking joke. And I mean, at the end of the day, people can make their own fucking decisions. Let them buy whatever fucking drugs they want. Just put a warning label saying, like, as far as we know, this is not being tested. We don't know about its safety. It could have this risk. Let people buy whatever the fuck they want and let them assume their own risks. This isn't a fucking communist country where the government should, like, be able to control your fucking lives. But these fucking assholes think they know better than everybody. They think they should be able to run your fucking life. And then they go out and admit that they were wrong about everything. And it happens all the fucking time.
Will, that explains all my teachers who left the job after they got pregnant?
Yes. That is exactly why. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. Dodo donated
So suppose one learns all these equations, but then finds himself in the unfortunate position.
Oh yeah, we already watched the previous one.
7
Oh, wait. I didn't see that one.
So suppose one learns all these equations, but then finds himself in the...
Did I skip the last one you said?
Let's make it a bit easier to have them.
No, these
Oh, wait. Okay, never mind.
peptides under review today by this advisory committee have sufficient clinical trial data to prove that they are safe and effective. And the first of these peptides to undergo a vote today, which split 8-6 in favor of allowing compounding pharmacies to make it, has had clinical studies with a total of 30 humans. So these drugs are largely devoid of data. So why would we...
So, by the way, when he says this, like, it's such bullshit. Cigarettes have never been tested on human beings. That is true. There's never been any randomized trials on cigarette smoking and tobacco. We know they're bad for you because enough people have smoked cigarettes for a long enough time that you can just look at the mortality statistics, and people who smoke cigarettes are dead. So there's no reason to have any research. Guess what? With a lot of these peptides, people have been taking them for multiple fucking decades. Like, you can find dudes who've been taking BPC 157 for over 20 years. No health problems, nothing, no kidney damage, nothing. Like, again, these have been on the market for fucking ever. People use these regularly, fucking constantly. You never hear of any reports of people getting severely injured or anything on this shit. The only thing you hear is, oh yeah, my joints feel better, I feel healthier, but my digestion improved. Like that's it. So, like, when he says this, it's just so fucking misleading. If you have a drug that's been on the market for so fucking long, and you literally can't find anyone fucking dying or having any health problems from it, well, there's your fucking data. That's how we figured out cigarette smoking is bad for you. So, go fuck yourself, you idiot.
Make it easier for people to take them.
Now, you just said about the numbers on the panel that voted. And the panel's been made up of mostly academics and that, but now apparently several people who promote or prescribe peptides. But isn't it a bit simplistic for us to say, well, those people on the panel who like peptides are going to vote for them? Or do you think that's exactly what's happened here?
And well, in fact, that's exactly what happened today. The panel split 8-6, with 4 essentially being the 7 new members who were added last month by Health Secretary RFK Jr. And the 6 no's were the academics and researchers on the panel. So that's exactly the split.
So one final question, which is country. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we had Pete Hegseth, and let's take testosterone if you're over 30, and all you know the story, and people know it. Now you've got this peptides business. From your long experience, doesn't this always end up in 15 years' time with a whole raft of cases of people who've been injured, harmed, diseases?
Well, that's funny because they've been out on the market for decades and nobody's got this problem.
Things that should not have been done, but because they were done in a hurry, and everybody then starts holding inquiries in 20 years' time about who knew what, why, when, and why it was done.
Look, this health secretary has criticized vaccines incorrectly for suggesting that they haven't been trialed in randomized placebo-controlled clinical trials. Now he's advocating that these completely untested drugs be made widely.
Guess what? If people are taking them, technically they are being tested. Just like with cigarettes. If people are smoking cigarettes, technically speaking, you will find out if cigarettes are fucking bad for you. Nobody is dropping dead and getting cancer left and right from any of these fucking peptides. So give me a fucking break. It's just bullshit. And what's also misleading about this is some of these peptides are, in fact, FDA approved. The majority of the peptides sold right now, about 80% of the fucking market, is the GLP-1 agonists. So right now, obviously Ozempic, tirzepatide, those are FDA approved. Retatrutide isn't, but we know it's going to be. So some of these peptides are, in fact, being FDA approved, and them trying to regulate the fucking peptide market, all that's going to do is make it harder for people to get drugs that we know are highly safe, effective, efficacious, and actually extend life expectancy. And you're going to have more fat asses who are sicker and need to go on different fucking medications when they should just be on these GLP-1 agonists, which they would have otherwise been able to get if you didn't regulate the fucking peptide market. But, BPC 157, it hasn't been fucking randomized, trialed properly, even though, again, we know it's safe. People have been taking it for long enough. We would have figured out long ago if it was actually dangerous.
Available. Look, I'm a simple doctor. I think that if I'm going to prescribe a drug that is going to be injected or ingested by a patient, I should know exactly what's in it. I should know exactly what large numbers of patients in clinical trials have encountered, what benefits have accrued, and what side effects they've had. And until you can show me that for these agents, why would I give that to a patient? Now, it may be that some of these peptides are really good and offer clear benefits. I'm all for that. Right. Let's just see the data before we allow people to inject themselves with them.
Doctor, I'm very grateful for you. Thank you very much, sir. You can see the next patient. Thank you.
But again, I always come back to this. Oh, we need to see if it's safe before we can let people do it. We know cigarettes aren't safe. We know alcohol isn't safe. We know McDonald's and all this fucking junk food and trash that's making people fat isn't safe. But we let people do it. You're not interested in keeping people safe. You're interested in being a fucking asshole who's trying to make it so these fucking drug companies have this exclusive right to the fucking drug market, and they just get to be the most powerful fucking cartel on the planet. Fuck you. None of these people are interested in keeping people safe. Then ban cigarettes and alcohol. You're not going to fucking do that, are you?
VG, I want to take Rita, but I'm afraid of getting something contaminated and fucking myself up. How to avoid this?
Buy from a reputable peptide website. So, yeah. Thanks for the donation, Gwib. It's like asking me, I want to eat, like, food, but I'm worried about getting food that's, like, contaminated with bacteria. Okay, well, don't fucking order a fucking taco from a shady fucking food truck that doesn't have any, like, health approval stamp.
Nick, I can think of about 4 things that I really wish you would take back right now. But
Like
wait
what?
a minute. The cookies in the oven?
Well, that's a joke.
But it's not, Nick. My wife is Jewish. My son is
It is not a joke.
Jewish. No,
Come
no, no,
on.
Nick. I promise. From 1939 on. It hurt.
Doesn't
Nick,
that the left and even
they think
I'm not going to bother watching it. Like, this woman's based. Like, Nick's a liar.
And you're from Farmington?
Hi, I'm Angie Smith.
Like, that's a really stupid, pathetic way to respond to that, too. Like, we know Nick's a liar. He clearly denied the Holocaust.
From Farmington Public Schools, top vote getter for Farmington Public School Board, been on the board 11 years. I am supporting Haley Stevens because she's that candidate. We need someone that can represent all of us, not just one race, but all races. Haley has done great work in Farmington and in Farmington Hills. She knows what she's doing. And anytime you can go to a Democratic convention and be booed and walk from behind a podium and stand there while you're being booed and things thrown at you, that's our person. So let's vote August 4th for Haley Stevens. Thank you.
Thank you. When you say, not just for one, what do you mean by that?
Well,
you feel the other candidate is...
The other candidate seems to be he doesn't work a room. You have to know.
Please help. Do I inject or no? Well, guess what, retard? It comes in a fucking injectable vial. What do you fucking think? It's not like you're gonna shove it up your ass, right?
How to work the room. Don't come out speaking only Arabic. Don't come out with your Arabic music on. Represent everyone. My DNA is my DNI. Well, my DI. I'm the mother of a lesbian. I'm Puerto Rican and Cherokee with a grandfather that was a white man from Ireland. Represent us all. Don't just represent one ethnicity and one race.
And Hassan is complaining that, you need to support fucking immigrants who want to destroy the country. Yeah, typical. Whatever. This is good news because Biden overperformed in South Carolina and that propelled him to victory. Okay. Watch this later.
In 1939, Winston Churchill famously...
Probably not going to be able to watch this later because this video is like fucking hour 46 minutes long and I keep getting interrupted. Maybe this.
Hey, this is Ryan of Hap.
No. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
from the right, but I don't think I'm a hater. I'm not a hateful person. It is Heil Hitler Friday, Heil Hitler, all my niggas Nazis.
Hitler was very fucking cool.
Yes, I do.
One of them.
And I'm tired of pretending he's not.
So what's the thing about, I guess, traditional Nazism that you think you disagree with the most?
Well, it's a non-Christian ideology. So, I mean, look, I believe that race is real, as the Nazis did, but I don't think it utterly defines a person. As a Christian, I think.
I don't know what he means by that. It's not a scientific term.
We're all created beings. I do believe there's such a thing as a universal human community. And so I think it's a cruel ideology. I've said this on my show, by the way, but I mean, that would maybe be the fundamental.
Did you always feel that way?
Always, yeah, absolutely.
So even whenever you were younger and stuff?
I did. But you know, you got to recognize times have changed. 10 years ago, we had a totally different political world. The regulation and policing of speech, you know, what you would call wokeness, I think was at an all-time high when I got started as a very young man.
What would you would call wokeness?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I think, I mean, would you not say there were some excesses maybe in those days?
Yeah, you know, in those days, I wasn't doing too well, so I wasn't paying much attention. Anyway, I would love to hear, and I'm not asking you to like retract everything that you've ever said and all, you know, or anything, but I said that I would love to talk to you because number one, I told you this, is that I think you're really smart, and I think that with that comes in a real responsibility, and you have.
If you want to go on testosterone, it's up to you. Guess what? You're going to be bigger, stronger, faster, better, badder if you bring your test from 600 to over 2,000. So if you want to be a better version of yourself, hop on test. If you want to stay the same, then, you know, just stay natural. It's up to you, though.
Yo VG, sent you a DM on Insta for recommended site for peptides and gear please when you can. I'm in the States. Thanks.
Sure. As far as peptides, I know one peptides site that's good. Is this gonna fucking load? There we go. There's a peptide website. What was the and here's a gear. There you go. And I think they probably have peptides on that gear website. Thanks for the donation, JJ.
An audience. And I have a friend who's...
Destiny quotes Tony Tillers, Hitler didn't love Islam. He didn't love any religion. He was an atheist. I don't know, like, there's no evidence he was an atheist. If he loved Islam, why didn't he make it the national religion of Germany? You're telling me the fascist dictators need to appeal to their population? Yeah. At least to some extent, they do. That's kind of how they get in power, and that's kind of how they stay in power. Thanks for the donation, Destiny.
Son is my daughter's age, you know, maybe 28, you know, your age. And he's really smart. And he is a big fan of yours. And so by virtue of the relationship, I got to learn what it is that why he is a fan of yours. And none of it has to do with, I would hope you agree, like really egregious things that you've said in the past about the Holocaust or about, you know.
Did the Jews ever talk about the 100 million whites that died in World War II? Or do they just bitch and moan about the so-called 6 million Jews that died?
And so it's just nice to poke holes in it and say, it's not 6 million.
6 million? I don't think so.
Hey dumbass. In regard to the Destiny debate, Wikipedia is a website that cites sources. Did you forget how Wikipedia works?
Well, Wikipedia clearly didn't cite the fucking Quran, the original source for what jizya is. When you read the fucking Quran, it states explicitly that it's literally just a mafia protection class to keep people under control and humiliate them and steal money from them. And if they don't pay up, they get killed. So, yeah, he was wrong about the jizya. You fucking idiot. If you're going to mention the jizya, I don't know why you wouldn't reference the Quran as if Wikipedia is going to be the fucking source to go to. And again, if you Google it, every single source that talks about what the jizya is, like, again, it literally fucking explains it and describes it as basically a mafia-style protection racket. Even Muslims, like again, all these Muslim commentators, apologists, imams, you can look at these imam sermons, like Sneako's hung out with one of these fucking crazy wackos. They explain it the same way. But, I saw a thing on Wikipedia. Well, that's great. Thanks for the nation. Dodo Donny Tellers, can you just read it on stream, VG, so we can see how he was lying? Jizya, type of taxation levied on non-Muslim subjects by a state government governed by Islamic law. Mentioned jizya without any limiting percentage rate or amount. The application of jizya varied in the course of Islamic history. Scholars largely agree that early Muslim rulers adapted something existing and modified them according to Islamic religious law. Historically, jizya has been understood, protected by a Muslim. The jizya tax is being understood in Islam as a fee for protection provided by the Muslim ruler to non-Muslims. So Wikipedia literally describes it as a fucking mafia-style extortion racket where you have to pay them protection money or else you don't get the protection and we kill you. For the exemption of military service for non-Muslims, permission to practice, material proof of the non-Muslim's allegiance to the Muslim state and its laws. Majority of Muslim jurists required adult, free, sane males among the Dima community to pay the jizya while exempting women, children, elders, handicapped, ill.
Maui has done a cute thing. Also, the clean-shaven head looks really, really good on you.
Well, thank you. I'll take a look at that in a second. Where the fuck... Like, the Wikipedia source doesn't even fucking mention... Like, oh, it was just like a normal sort of municipal tax.
JJ, can you hook us up with whatever VG sent you in Insta DMs?
Yeah, thanks for the donation, dude. Let me see.
Maui, you want to roll over? Okay, I'm going to force you. I'm going to hypnotize you. I'm going to hypnotize you. You will roll over. You will. Me, 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 me. Maui, the orange.
Oh my god. How does that work every time?
Thanks, Maui.
Oh
You're
my goodness.
Such a pal.
Wow. Yeah, that's funny how that works every time. Thanks for the donation, Ethan, though. Emma donated $2. Remember last year when you called me the R word because I called you out for being dishonest, prejudiced Islamophobe that claims all Muslims lie to spread their faith? Well, you're still a prejudiced Islamophobe. Well, good. I haven't become a complete fucking retard. That's nice. What is this dumb fucking shit? Like, by the way, there's a principle in Islam called taqiyya where you are literally, like, incentivized to lie in order to protect and spread Islam. Like it's literally in the religion where they tell you, yeah, lie in the, like, hopes to protect and spread Islam.
Every single Muslim apologist is just straight up lying to you, man. You're allowed to lie.
Muslims can only lie in life-threatening situations, reconciliation between people, or preserving peace between spouses.
Dodo, any tellers, maybe Destiny was doing debate tactic, like Face IQ. He looked something up with a confirmation bias on Google about jizya. Maybe, I don't know. He's still fucking retard.
And family. Allah says in Surah 2 verse 42, when it comes to religion, do not mix truth with falsehood or hide the truth knowingly. The Prophet ﷺ said,
That's funny because there's many instances of the Prophet Muhammad lying.
signs of a hypocrite are three. Whenever he speaks, he tells a lie, and whenever he promises, he breaks his promise, and whenever he...
Like, again, this is coming from the guy who said he flew to heaven on a winged horse. So, the guy who dead ass said he flew to heaven on a winged horse, like, was being serious, not just making a gag. Hey guys, I flew on a winged horse, and I met all these cool dudes in fucking heaven. Yeah, he's telling you that it's bad to lie. Right.
he is entrusted, he betrays. So Muslims can't just lie for religious and personal gain.
Well, it's funny because they do it all the fucking time.
Unlike your false apostle Paul, who straight up tells us he deceives people to convert them to Christianity in 1 Corinthians 9, verses 19 to 23.
Oh my god, this is fucking retarded. RV, $92. Did you know that Wikipedia volunteer admins banned the co-founder of the site because he went on live TV and said that Wikipedia is a biased leftist source? I heard something about that. That wouldn't surprise me. It, like all the articles are very you can just tell they're extremely sanitized, especially when you look up some controversial topics. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Thanks for that donation, RV.
And I don't even know, I think I've heard you since kind of rescind a lot of that.
You can see that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust.
Possibly more. Possibly, we're discovering all the time. So it could maybe even be more than that.
But what he agrees with is kind of the anger about the situation that particularly your generation finds yourself in. I know that to be real. And I think that there, maybe my reasons for recognizing that anger as being legitimate and my targets are different than yours. I just wanted to hear from you. When you say you were canceled by the right in 2016.
Yes.
I almost felt like in preparing to meet you now, is that your reaction to that was to just dig deeper and deeper into kind of the outsider, kind of radical, say anything for the purpose of generating, the attention to build an audience. Is that true? And it's not an accusation. I really mean it. I want this to be a conversation as much as possible.
I mean, there's certainly some truth to that, but I think that might be overstating it a little bit because I really got canceled by the right and the left.
Yeah.
And back in those days in 2017, you had these far left journalists at Huffington Post, Right Wing Watch, ADL, SPLC, and I really believe they were on a mission to find extremist rhetoric, the white nationalist, neo-Nazi boogeyman, all that kind of stuff. And they would look at someone like myself.
Buddy, you were literally trying to convince people the Holocaust never happened.
18, and if I was being serious or joking, things taken out of context, they would clip it, post it, and they wanted me to be the villain. And I think they wanted a lot of people to be the villain. I think the left, in a way, kind of created this climate where I think they pushed a lot of people farther to the right.
No, by the way, that very well may be true, but you gave them a lot of ammunition.
That's true.
I mean, I hope that some of those things that you've said in the past are not things that you believed in and that are you meant just to engender like a really radical kind of response. I mean, is that true or no?
Well, again, I think that back in those days, you could not say anything. In 2017, 2018, cancel culture was so in overdrive. Any joke, any edgelording, anything like that, they would, first of all, there's no sense of humor.
I'm so old, I don't even,
okay, well, to break it down for you, so the dawn of wokeness as it's known today, I think was in like the post-Trump era. After Trump won the election in 2016, there was a big movement to deplatform and kind of push away those who, I guess the left feel like had galvanized them into the presidency. So there was this big idea that if you push people off mainstream social media platforms, they would go away. Now we know through Trump's re-election, that's not even true. But at the time, that was the mantra. Problematic viewpoints needed to be silenced, tucked away somewhere.
If Trump enacted a special tax that was only levied on non-Christians in the US and guaranteed they won't get stoned, murdered or thrown in jail for not converting to Christianity plus they were exempt from military service, would Destiny call that good?
I should have brought up that point during the debate. That would have really made him look stupid. Again, he's trying to apologize for Islam, like saying, oh, it's not that big of a deal, jizya. Okay, so why don't we do that here? You'd have no problem with Trump doing that, right? Like, just so fucking stupid. Thanks for that donation, Sid.
Somewhere, and they would sort of die in isolation. So I think that was the climate where you first got started, 2017. That time period was like crucial for getting people off mainstream platforms. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I would say that you got to get into the psychology of those days. It felt like anybody that wasn't on board with the most progressive.
There's a reason why most news networks are leftist. It's because like a lot of these journalists and shit, they went to college. And colleges are a breeding ground for communist ideology. So just because these people are educated, college educated specifically, they're just so much more likely to come out with a left-leaning bias. So yeah, it's just the way it works. The mainstream media is just inherently going to have a left-wing bias because, again, there's a disproportionate amount of people in mainstream media in particular that are college educated.
Progressive agenda had no options. There was just no alternative. It was going to be.
And by the way, when you look at all these leftist political commentators, like the Young Turks and Sam Cedar, they're college educated, and they've come from extremely rich families where they're able to go to like private schools, go to the best colleges in the country. So, like you can see a fucking pattern.
Progressive, liberal, feminist, BLM, all that kind of stuff. And if you were to the right of John McCain, you're no platformed, censored, banned from all the platforms. You're fired from your job. You're ostracized socially. And I think what happened really in 2021.
You can bring it up next time, VG.
I can. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Impression: Jordan Peterson gets stuck on an island with pigs. He is too scared to kill the pigs himself and tries to explain to the public why he didn't eat the pigs using the lobster methodology.
You know, when I was traveling to Arizona last year, because Canada has become such a leftist cesspit of communist nonsense, and it's just not good, my plane crashed, and I ended up stranded on a desert island, surrounded by pigs, and I was starving, and of course, because I'm on the carnivore diet, well, there's all these pigs around, so, you know, it makes logical sense. All right, well, I guess we're gonna have to kill some pigs, but I couldn't bring myself to kill these pink little cute creatures. But the darkness inside me just couldn't overrule my conscious mind. So, you know, I thought, lobsters, I don't think they're sentient or anything, but they bond for life. And I saw that the lobsters were very easy to catch, you know. All you really have to do is just put a little net in the ocean, and then the next morning you got a bunch of lobsters. And I made sure those lobsters weren't mated yet, because I didn't want to break a family bond. So I decided to just eat the lobsters until the life raft with helicopters came to take me back to dry land. There you go. Thanks for the donation. Once we're good.
College should honestly be outlawed.
No, they just gotta stop giving a ridiculous amount of money to these fucking institutions until they just get rid of their commie horse shit. And they gotta fire a lot of these professors that are spreading this commie propaganda. One of the biggest things, too, is just foreign influence. The Chinese, Qataris, they're putting in a ton of money into these colleges. And that, like, I think that's a big factor that's driving up the, like, commie fucking Islamic fucking horse shit. Like, that's specifically why Harvard was so big on the pro-Palestine thing. Qatar gives them so much fucking money. So they're promoting all this pro-Islamic horse shit. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
When Trump got banned from the platforms is it felt like 70 million people got canceled. 70 million people that voted for Trump, or, 60, 70 million people. We were all felt like, oh, so if Trump is out of politics and we're all banned from the platforms, then how is there any redress for our grievances? Do we just have to shut up and get with the program and we're all going to be progressive? And I think that drove people to a far more radical place where people said, well, what really is a solution? We can't talk. We can't express ourselves. We can't participate in the process or run for office. And I was one of the people saying that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to drive people to extremism. If you don't talk, if people don't feel like they have a seat at the table and enfranchisement, I think then they start exploring options outside the system, outside of the political.
Buddy, you were literally promoting Hitler and Nazism and Holocaust denialism, like,
process, the democratic process. So I think it's self-inflicted in many ways.
So you feel like after the mass deplatforming in 2021, whenever people on the right got pushed to platforms like Parler, Rumble, etc., the lack of discourse and like the political singularity of those platforms created more extremism?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because look, you take Trump off of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and I predicted this in 21. I said, watch, you're going to see alternative social media rise because some venture capitalist is going to see there's a huge market of 70 million people that are going to.
And speaking of woke college students, VG.
I'll look at that in a second. Let me take a look.
On February 5th.
Oh, my tummy is so full.
2025, officers responded to a college.
We've already seen this whole thing. Yeah, this dumb fucking retard just freaked out for no reason. They weren't even there for it. They were responding to a different call, and this fucking crazy psycho just started freaking out at them for no reason. It's bizarre. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Follow Trump, because Trump is no platformed. And that's exactly what happened. Rumble blew up, Elon bought Twitter, and what happened when you had total free speech on these platforms? Well, Twitter now resembles 4chan. And now, there's no gatekeepers. And I think it did push people in a radical direction. And honestly, people are even blowing past me. Now there's like mainstream normie types.
No, I'm not into Final Fantasy. Those games are not good.
That are even blowing past me in terms of how radical they are. People start saying things like, there's no political solution, there's going to be a civil war, we need a revolution. And I think that's because the message from the left was, you're crushed. You have no options, you can't win, there's no alternative. Trump is going to be indicted and charged and can't run. You can't be on Twitter, you can't have a job. And so people started to say, okay, well, we still exist. We're still here, we still have these concerns. What do we do now? And then people start to say, well, we need a revolution. And I'm one of the only people saying, no, we should still engage in the process and talk with each other. And it's not all one-sided. I think there's problems on the left and the right, but I certainly think it takes two to tango.
Okay, so there, we agree. I think that there are problems on the left and the right, and I don't disagree with some of the things that you just said. I guess I just came to a different conclusion, that there are some things that people should be deplatformed for. Not that they can't say it when they want to say it, but I think that it's a right of anybody.
Okay, top three things. What do you think?
There's a difference between being able to say that you're proud of your white heritage and also being just flat out racist. I think that there's a difference between saying you're proud of your Christian heritage and the white culture from what you come from and Nazis, or that you adopt the Nazism as a legitimate ideology. I think that there's a difference between saying that you disagree with the United States policy as it relates to Israel and saying that the Holocaust didn't exist.
I was like, Mom, Dad, Hitler was awesome. Hitler was right. And the Holocaust didn't happen. And my parents were like, we cannot believe.
Those would be top three things in my mind.
Can we get Jasmine?
That you believe that some people took you out of context. And I do agree. Look, on both the right and the left, there are these gatekeepers, 100%. And look at me, the mainstream press just destroyed me for 7 years without any real kind of reflection about what they were doing. I do think that, some of those things are legitimate reasons to say, we don't want you on our, on our commercial platform. Would you agree with that? I mean, you just said, for instance, people calling for like an armed revolution, like people calling for actual violence. You're opposed to.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm against violence. Yeah. And I do think those are one of the legitimate things that should be taken from the platform. There's a lot of the stuff on social media I don't agree with. But again, what started to happen is there was this like editorial set.
Okay, then breaking news VG. Pearl's voice actress from that shitty SJW Steven Universe cartoon is surprisingly MAGA.
Clownfish TV is fucking garbage. I don't know what that show is, and I don't care. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Censorship, where certain ideas were banned. And it was such a broad brush and also totally opaque and ad hoc. You'd be on YouTube, like I was, for example, they banned me for life and didn't even give me a reason. Not a specific quote, not a specific infraction. And so you don't know what the rules are. You don't know what the process is. They just take you down. And especially now when everything is digital, that's not just the social platforms, it's the other ones like Uber, Airbnb, whatever. It feels like you're being denied almost something like a civil right, because the social platforms are the modern public square. Increasingly with Uber, Airbnb, the banking apps, you can't live your life without the tech platforms. And it felt like if you just simply had the wrong opinions or you were the wrong kind of person, you were being deprived of like a basic civil right or being able to participate in society. So, and I think maybe that's an area of collaboration where we recognize maybe it is a civil right to use the digital platforms, but here are the rules. Here's what you can say. Here's what you can't say. Here's the process. Maybe there's a reconciliation mechanism. But I mean, the censorship was just out of control. I don't think anyone disagrees there's a reasonable limit, though.
Yeah, no, I guess what I'm saying is that I don't see that as a result of left-wing or right-wing ideology. I view that kind of level of deplatforming. Look, I was debanked. I was debanked before I was ever even charged with anything. I lost every bank account. It took me, 9 months once they, the Trump administration, said that they were starting an investigation into me to be able to actually get a bank account again. And I don't want to tell you the bank because tomorrow they may debank me again. But my point is that those people are incredibly identifiable. I've been talking and going around and I say things like, I don't think we are nearly as divided as they're telling us we are. Because I do believe that there are an identifiable group of people that are responsible for an enormous amount of the discord and division because they make money off of it. I think that these social media companies that are controlled by 3, 4, 5, individuals have made it clear that they only care about one thing. They only care about how much much money they can produce for themselves and, you know, the people that hold stocks in their company. Even to the degree where we know for certain that they're driving teenage girls to the highest levels of suicide by a factor, like exponential factors, directly related to the content that they're being pushed, and they won't do it.
No. Teenage girls are doing this shit for attention and nothing else. It's just fucking ridiculous. The idea that social media is pushing people to commit suicide is like the most fucking retarded horseshit I've ever fucking heard in my life. They're just doing the shit for attention. Girls always do shit for attention. You can actually track epidemics of anorexia with news articles about anorexics. So, like, there have been news articles made about, like, specific girls who suffer from anorexia. And then after that, anorexia rates skyrocket. It's because these girls just fucking want attention from, like, whatever the fuck way they can get it. They're, like, just deranged. I think there's, like, an inordinate amount of women with, like, personality disorders, like histrionic personality disorder, psychopathy, sociopathy, narcissism, and shit.
Yes, you do. You said you watched clips of Steven Universe online and you said it sucked. Remember?
Like, I've seen clips, but, like, I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know what the story is. I just know the animation sucks. Thanks for that donation, Dodo. But, like, again, the idea that social media is driving fucking suicide, like, give me a fucking break. You do not need to talk to anybody on social media. You do not need to look at anything on social media. If you're looking at something that's fucking bothering you, you can just stop. The only reason they're fucking still using social media is because that's their means of getting attention. They care more about attention than their own fucking well-being. And if that's their interest, then go ahead. Do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to, like, become anorexic and fucking miserable and kill yourself because you think that'll get you attention, go for it. Like, I believe everyone should have the right to do whatever the fuck they want with their life. If these fucking idiots want to, like, again, get attention at any cost, let them fucking do it. As long as they're not breaking the law. But yeah, I can't get over this fucking horseshit that social media is driving people to commit suicide. Like, you don't need to use it. Nobody's forcing you to fucking do it. It's not like, you know, if you're getting abused at your fucking workplace and everybody's bullying you, well, you need a job or else you're going to become fucking homeless. Like, that is something that would, you know, be something that's kind of unavoidable. But social media, you can put down your phone. You can just watch a movie. You can read a fucking book. Like, it's stupid.
Do anything about it.
Right.
And so, to the same degree, I think they, you know, a lot of what you call wokeness was maybe an illegitimate, but a financial decision based on a lot of these.
Corporate psyop, maybe.
Try telling that to a 13-year-old girl. Bull fucking shit. Okay? I hate this fucking crap that, oh, but kids don't know any better. Yeah, they fucking do. Like, dude, this is like putting your hand over a hot stove. Kids know not to put their hand over a hot stove. Like again, this is just a basic fucking, like, reptilian part of your brain where you know better to avoid something that's going to fucking hurt you. If you're on social media, you know it's fucking bothering you. You read comments where people are fucking bullying you or something. You get upset. You know the comments are bothering you, but you keep going on social media anyway. It's because you're getting something out of it that you want. And for a lot of these girls, it's just fucking attention. So if they want to get attention at all fucking costs at the expense of their fucking mental health and everything, that's their fucking choice. Don't give me this bullshit that they're fucking kids and they don't know any better. Yes, they fucking do. Kids aren't like some kind of weird pre-programmed insect that will just do things even though, like, it's clearly not working. They're not fucking ants or anything. No, kids are fucking rational fucking actors who can make decisions, okay? It's as simple as stove hot, I don't like hot on hand, I move my hand away from hot stove. Social media is the same way. Oh, I don't like the mean comments, it's making me upset, I'm going to stop reading the comments, but they don't do it because they want the attention at the expense of their mental health. And again, that's their choice. They can fucking do that. Don't give me that fucking bullshit that it's the social media's fault. No, it's their fault.
Corporate side. Thank you. I mean, by the way, exactly. You know, I mean,
I just wanted to back up real quick. So you talked about certain people going too far. About 2.5 months ago, I visited a whites-only community in Hardy, Arkansas. And I don't know why. I guess coming from like a more like left-wing place, I'm from Seattle. I kind of assumed there was like a united front on the right for some reason. So I'm out there, I'm chilling with these dudes. They're like sword fighting, having barbecues. I mean, overall, it was a good time for them. I had a hard time connecting with them because I don't agree with them, but it's all good. I was having fun for a couple days. And then, like right as I was there, I guess you had hit them up on X or something and said like, "Hey, I don't want to associate with you guys." What happened there?
Well, that was really more of a personal disagreement with the guy that founded it.
Yeah.
But I do think it's an interesting project, and it's interesting.
I have a 12-year-old girl. All social media is blocked on her phone and PC. Problem solved. It's that simple. Like, again, I don't like, this is such a lefty brain rot mentality. Rather than letting people have like autonomy over their own fucking lives and bodies and letting them raise their children however they want. No, we know better. We control your life. We're a bunch of fucking commie fascists who will tell you what to do because we know best. Like, parents can parent like you. If you think this is bad for your kid, you can make the decision to take it away from your kid. It's that simple. Like, it's just brainless.
Why do people treat children like they are some pre-programmed insect?
I don't know. Like, people are just fucking idiots. Like, I don't know if people like forget what they were like as children or something, but like I recollect my childhood very fucking well, and at no point do I ever remember, oh, I was a dumb kid. I'd put my hand over the hot stove, and even though it hurt, I just kept it there because I was a dumb kid. I didn't know anybody. Like, no, I could recognize if something was frustrating me and just fucking stop if I wanted. Like it's stupid. Thanks for the donation, though, Dodo.
That got so much pushback, this whites-only community, because you know what? If you go to a lot of these different neighborhoods...
I think I have played Hitman Blood Money. No, I didn't. I played Hitman Absolution. That's the one I played. Yeah, I got into the Hitman series after Hitman Absolution came out. I never played Blood Money.
Major cities, there are ethnic enclaves, and it's not like there's an explicit rule that you have to be a certain ethnicity, but we all know in Chicago and New York and LA, you got certain neighborhoods where it is 80, 90% one ethnicity. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of white people that say, we kind of want something similar. I don't think there's anything...
Well, okay, let's back up. If you want to talk about the histories of, New York and Chicago, I feel like that was also a conscious decision that was made.
Okay, this is something that I kind of agree with Nick on. Look, minorities do not want to live in minority neighborhoods. Like, the Hodge twins have made funny jokes about this. Like, one of them, when he was in like the Navy or something, he said he had to live in a black neighborhood when he was like, I think in the Navy or something. And he said he made sure he wouldn't have to stay in a fucking black neighborhood. They moved into a white neighborhood. Minorities don't want to be in a minority neighborhood because they suck. They're fucking poor, and they're like, there's just more crazy people. It just is what it is, and you can make up whatever fucking excuse you want about it. Like, oh, well, they're forced to be in these neighborhoods because of redlining and discrimination or whatever. Well, the fact is, you don't want to live there. It is the way it is now. So like I mean, you can make up whatever excuses for why the state, like why things are in the state they're in, but I can guarantee you, he does not live in a fucking minority neighborhood. He does not live in a minority neighborhood, nor would they ever choose to live in a fucking minority neighborhood. So
like,
I tell you where it's blacks only. It's in Cabrini Green, where Mayor Daley made everybody that was black live in the Cabrini Green. I mean, it's not. It wasn't by choice. It's not by choice that these ethnic enclaves are 80 or 90%, whatever that ethnicity is.
Okay, like, dude, whether that's the case or not, just think about this. When there are white neighborhoods, they're better. When there are black neighborhoods, they're worse. When there are Hispanic neighborhoods, they're worse. When there's Arabic neighborhoods, they're fucking worse. like there's something fundamental, like there's some fundamental problem with some of these cultures. Like it's very obvious in these black communities, for whatever fucking reason. There's this like respect culture where you need to get respect at all costs and over very, very fucking simple disagreements. Like they'll pull out guns and shoot each other and they think it's cool and that's just what you need to do. They're also extraordinarily racist to their own fucking racial group. Like if you go to certain areas of Chicago, like O Block, like black people will hunt down other black people. So like if they don't recognize some black dude in their neighborhood, they'll just shoot them. Like this doesn't happen in white neighborhoods. So like why would you want to live here? None of these people want to live in their fucking shitty fucking neighborhood.
It's because that's the only place in which they had an opportunity to live unbothered.
No, I don't aspirate my IM injections. There's no point. So for one thing, you're never going to inject directly into a vein, especially when you're talking about like if you're not fat and you're using a 1-inch needle. So I could see if you're fat, you have like a big layer of blubber and you use a 1-inch needle, you're going to inject closer to a lot of those vein clusters, closer to the surface of the skin. And you're more likely to have the needle pierce a vein. And then when you inject, even though it's not injecting directly into the vein, some of it will like leak into the vein. And then you get that embolism thing, but it doesn't do anything. All that's going to happen is you're going to have some shortness of breath, and that's it. If you're lean and you're injecting deep into the muscle, it's never going to happen. It's impossible. And on top of that, you're probably going to have more post-injection pain because you're going to inject air into the muscle, and yeah, like why would you bother causing yourself more post-injection pain just to avoid something that's not going to happen anyway? And even if it did, it's just not that big of a deal. You're going to have just a little bit of shortness of breath for like 20 seconds, and then you're fine. The only time where you're going to like start coughing like crazy and like you're going to feel like you're winded is if you're injecting tren acetate. That's the only thing that's actually going to do that. Like again, I've been injecting trenanenthate, not aspirating the fucking needle, and I've never had any shortness of breath, no tren cough, nothing. The only time that happens is if you're like injecting Trenace, like, and it's not even because of the embolism thing. It's because of like a weird prostaglandin response that tren causes.
Or where they were told that they had to live because of the historical fact that they could not move into other neighborhoods. You could not move into parts of South Chicago without, being stoned.
Right.
Literally, right?
Yeah.
And so, like so it's not as if those ethnic enclaves are there by choice. And so that
also ethnic enclaves do exist for like specific variations of different Europeans. Like, there is like places that are chocolate. Like South Philly's full of Italians.
There's Little Italy and there's Little Korea.
So I think the issue, what I always like, what confused me the most about the whites only community is like there's just so many different kinds of white people in America. So like to establish a unified white culture with a place so diverse and full of like different regional flavors just kind of felt confusing to me because that can mean a different thing depending on what part of the country, what European enclave you originated from. Like we're Irish people from the Philly area. Can you compare that to like surfers?
You'd probably like Hitman Blood Money, Last Mission's assassinating Vice President in the White House. That sounds cool. Yeah, I might check it out. I remember back in the day it looked really good, but I didn't end up getting it because, it was like a broke fucking, like, 10-year-old or whatever, and then I just couldn't afford it at the time. I think I also didn't have an Xbox 360 either. And it was out on Xbox. There was something like that too. I played the demo for Def Jam Fight for New York. I didn't really like it. So many black people are opportunists. That is what they seem to teach within the black culture. You actually have entire communities of black people who just leech off the welfare system too. Like they just choose not to work. There are some white areas that do that, but it seems a little less to do with them actually being lazy and more to do with them being like genuinely fucking retarded, where they literally cannot work a simple job like being a cashier. But yeah, they're like, we've all seen the EBT shit, you know.
In San Diego, or even like Italian Americans in Staten Island. I don't know, everything just feels so different. So when I got there, I was trying to identify what they meant by white culture. It wasn't really based on shared like cultural practices, but more the exclusion of people who weren't white. So they weren't like stoked on being European necessarily. They were more just like, oh, we're here because those people aren't here. So it just kind of felt more negative than constructive.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not really involved with that project in particular, but I think that, look, I mean, you talk about the anger that's out there and the frustration, and I think part of the frustration, let's be honest, is that white people do feel like we are being boxed out in major cities in the country, and it feels like, look, there's a little Haiti, and there's various ethnic enclaves where you get that local culture, and they do their, cultural festivals and that sort of thing. And white people feel like they're being pushed out, and they want a space where things are familiar.
Do you feel the same way about the Italian festival that happens in every city?
Well, here's a good example. So,
or St. Patrick's Day?
Well, there's no Irish neighborhood in Chicago. Little
Sure
Italy.
there is.
I mean, there's some remnant in Bridgeport.
Yeah.
It's important to note that, like, I'm not trying to get into like a shouting match here, but like, as a family coming from a family who did leave Philadelphia in the 60s because of black migration from the South after the Civil Rights Act was passed, there was a sort of like mass flight of white people into the suburbs, and that kind of led to a homogenization of different cultures because they rushed so fast to build these like identical strip mall suburbs that it was very hard to maintain cultural bonds that made different European and white neighborhoods unique around like the 1950s and before. So I feel like the mass suburbanization is also a big factor that led to those like cultural bonds breaking.
Yeah, but why did that happen? I mean, a lot of the suburbanization is because of the race riots in the 1960s. People moved out because of the violence. My grandfather was in the National Guard in Chicago when, after MLK got assassinated, the whole West Side burned to the ground.
Yeah.
And people didn't want to be around that anymore.
Why were the riots?
MLK Jr. was assassinated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so does that justify burning down the city?
No, I don't say it justifies it, but it sure justifies an enormous amount of the anger, the same kind of anger that you feel about being left out, the same kind of anger that you're expressing right now about the idea that you're culturally irrelevant, that you don't have a place in society. Imagine if you were a 26-year-old black man in 1968 and saw your hero be assassinated.
I saw Trump get shot in the ear, and
did he?
And I saw Charlie Kirk get shot, and I didn't see any cities get burned down. It's funny how that works.
I think it's a very, very, very different thing. I think
How's
it's
that different? Charlie Kirk
thing.
got shot in the neck.
Yeah.
And liberals celebrated all over social media by Tyler Robinson.
Yeah. Who is what?
Who is some liberal guy.
He is?
Mm-hmm.
What,
he's got a transgender boyfriend.
Does that make him liberal? Because he's transgender? Because he's gay?
So. Well, because he's got a transgender boyfriend, yeah, I think so.
It makes him liberal?
I think he was liberal, yeah.
Okay. Well, he didn't come from a liberal family. He didn't come from a liberal enclave. He didn't come from a liberal background. He's not a minority. He was a Mormon, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And grew up in a Mormon household. And he went to a largely Mormon college. Mm-hmm. And he ended up committing an act of violence, according to the FBI and the authorities in Utah that charged him. How does that in any way compare to what we're talking about? I'm not justifying the violence that occurred after the death of Martin Luther King. But you're saying that person, this Tyler, whoever his name is was as disenfranchised as the African American community in 1968 in inner cities?
Well, the question is who we want to live around.
I'm not living around blacks. Sorry, I want white kids and...
Is Hunter Biden based, or is he not sucking BB's dick enough for you to earn that title?
Haven't really seen his stance on Israel. I remember he did an interview with Andrew Callahan, and he seemed pretty based, but I'm not sure. He's actually thinking of possibly doing a presidential run. That would be a very interesting Democratic candidate. That he might be somebody worth voting for. Like, again, depending on like how I see like more of his political opinions play out. Thanks for that donation, though, Ref.
I don't want my white kids bringing home black people to marry.
And in the 1960s, the West Side burns down.
VG, it's horrible how mistreated donkeys are just because they're not horses.
Yes, it is. Donkeys are really sweet. Every donkey I've seen has been really, really friendly. They're very affectionate and social. And they're really, really sweet. They're nice animals. They really like to say hello to you and come up for rubs and cuddles. They're really cuddly. Just crazy to me how people can mistreat animals like this. Thanks for that donation, Dodo.
Down.
Do you inject MT2 in the AM or before bed? I inject it before bed. It makes me sleepy. It is actually a pretty good sleep aid. It's not quite as good as growth hormone, but it does make you sleepy. So, like, especially at higher doses. I remember I injected 1 milligram, and that put me the fuck out. Like, I wouldn't recommend injecting 1 milligram. I wouldn't go above 0.5 milligram, but yeah, 0.5 milligram like gives you a nice little tiredness before bed.
We don't want to live around that. We don't want to live around a
That's
city
not
that's
when
burning
it
down.
happened. That's not when the white flight happened.
It is.
No,
It was
is
a big
not.
response to it.
No,
Absolutely.
100% not. You
Absolutely.
make these historical connections that don't exist. Part of it was potentially, but before that, what Mayor Daley did is made Chicago the most segregated city in the entire United States, other than Boston. When you would come from the South to Chicago, African Americans from the South, blacks in the South coming to Chicago would say that Chicago was twice the level of segregation and racism that occurred in the South. And so it wasn't as if you're coming into a situation in which you're feeling in any way enfranchised by the community and the situation that you're in. And as many people left simply because of the idea that someone was black moving into their neighborhood as the violence that occurred after the assassination of Martin Luther King.
As far as I know, he doesn't call Israel's actions in Gaza as genocide, but he thinks Bibi went too far, and I don't know if he's ever articulated how. Surely that would disqualify him for you.
Okay, yeah, that sounds beta male as fuck. Democrats just seem to have a lack of national pride. Like, these people were cheering in the street when 9/11 happened. And then they feel bad for these people when they commit horrible fucking terror attacks against Jews, and then they get exactly what they deserve for it. Like, I don't know what the fuck Democrats' problems are. They're like retarded fucking Buddhists or Jains. Like, there are Buddhists who get captured by the Chinese, get tortured, and then when they finally escape, they'll say something like, oh, I was worried that I would lose my, like, compassion for my torturer. Like, that's basically what the Democrats are like. Like, buddy, these people want to fucking exterminate you. They're cheering in the street during 9/11, and then you feel bad for them when after they commit another terror attack, they get the appropriate military response back. Like just the fucking cowardice that these Palestinians have. Like, again, they will cheer in the fucking street when Jews are killed, when Americans are fucking killed, when terror attacks happen. Oh, Allahu Akbar, la 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 la. They're just absolutely, overcome with joy. But then when you do anything to them, my child, he's martyred, how could you do this, evil. Like, just the fucking pathetic cowardness of these people. I have absolutely no sympathy for them. They're just the most cowardly, sick, disgusting fucking scumbags, and they deserve to be fucking wiped out. Like, the amount of fucking charitability Jews have had to the Palestinians is just so far and beyond what they need to give. They give them fucking aid. They tell them to move out of the fucking way when they're about to bomb. They try to avoid civilian casualties as much as possible. They don't even deserve it. Like these are the most sick, cowardly fucking scumbags, complete fucking hypocrites, manipulative as fuck. And then, like Democrats still think, oh, they're really the victims. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I just don't want to vote for a party or a candidate who thinks that way.
So the numbers actually, pre-1968, when King was shot, you had more people leave the city because of the desegregation, because of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, than you did after the riots.
I think that's just not true. I think that the race riots were a huge driver of white flight to the suburbs. I think
Ref Donny Tillers, he's either implying Netanyahu is incompetent for not preparing for the October 7th attacks, or that he let it happen. What do you think? Let me see.
Here's a real question I have, and this get me in trouble, not to relate to anybody but Bibi Netanyahu. If the Mossad had the plans for the October 7th attack a year before it occurred, why were you not prepared?
Again, the United States knew of the upcoming 9/11 terror attack, and they were unprepared. So, like, yeah, there's failures with there were failures with the, like, communication between the FBI, CIA. Like, there's a bunch of complicated reasons that they were unprepared for the 9/11 terror attack. like why, like it's just so hypocritical and anti-Semitic. Like, when we do it, oh, it's fine. Oops, you know, like, oh, it's just a mistake. It happens. Yeah, it's a really bad mistake, but it happens. When it happens to the Jews, oh, you guys had some idea that there was going to be a terror attack and you were completely unprepared? Did you just let it happen? But they don't have that fucking stance when 9/11 happened. Like, give me a fucking break.
Why did you not have soldiers in the southern part of Israel where the attacks occurred for like up to 7 to 12 hours?
Yeah, that's actually pathetic and retarded. That makes me think the guy might be like a little anti-Semitic. Thanks for the donation, ref.
You mentioned in a debate how you would be down for the killing of predatory animals, yet you own a cat. Domesticated cats kill more than any animal in the world. Would you be okay with someone coming to your house and killing your cat to save the birds?
No, because my cat lives indoors, you fucking idiot, and he eats a vegan diet. What are you, a fucking retard? Thanks for the donation, dumbass.
Oh, and speaking of donkeys, VG.
Restricted video. Thanks for the donation, though, Dodo.
I think it's just dishonest to say that's not the case.
Okay, so what's your point about all this?
Well, we're talking about where people want to live.
Yeah, I know. So like what in 2026?
Well, okay, how about in 2020 when Minneapolis burned to the ground? Or how about in the summer of 2020 in Chicago?
Minneapolis didn't burn to the ground.
It didn't?
No. I mean, there were
BLM
parts
didn't
of it
destroy
that
dozens of
If you
structures?
guys need a physical witness to what happened in Minneapolis, there were many structures that burned to the ground. Not the city, but there was, I would say, between 40 to 50 buildings off of Lake Street in the south side that did burn to the ground. But most of the city was intact, but it was quite an intense situation.
People don't want to live around that. People don't want to live around that. You know, in Chicago, it rolled on into the summer, and it wasn't, you know, let's say, the anger of the oppressed and the disenfranchised.
So
they
who's
were
at fault?
looting. They were looting and
Who's
carjacking.
they?
The criminals.
Are you saying that the problem with the 26-year-old white kid living in suburbia outside of Chicago and his feeling of being disenfranchised is because there was looting and rioting in Minneapolis by black people? And it's black people that are doing it.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with Austin Metcalf was that he got stabbed in the neck at a track meet. And the problem with our city in Chicago is that the Magnificent Mile is gone, Water Tower Place is gone because of all the crime.
Nick, and the problem with an entire generation of African Americans is that they've been getting killed by cops for decades.
That's
what are you
just not
talking
true.
about?
Oh my god, okay, yeah, jeez.
Hunter's wife and kid is Jewish. He was clearly criticizing Netanyahu for being unprepared and incompetent, not that he planned for October 7th to happen, dude. It's like criticizing Trump's incompetence for allowing COVID to propagate.
I never said that Hunter Biden insinuated that Bibi planned for October 7th to happen and let it happen. Why are you like a fucking retard who can't understand basic fucking words that come out of my fucking mouth? The only observation I made was that there's always this fucking double standard when it comes to Jews and everyone else. So again, when there's intelligence failures in the United States that lead to 9/11, oh, well, you know, it's just a really bad accident, you know. But then when it happens in Israel, oh, well, what the hell is going on there? I don't know what the fuck it matters whether or not his wife and kids are Jewish. Like, dude, the amount of pick-me Jews there are, it is just fucking crazy. There's Jews that hate Israel. Like there are Jews that are fucking campaigning with these pro-Palestine fucktards. Like, that literally means nothing. That's like saying, oh, I'm not racist, I have a black friend. Like, it's fucking stupid. Thanks for the donation, dumbass.
Oh wait, this is what I wanted you to see.
Page isn't available. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. Vegan gains and utilitarians, that's antiseptic drool. Okay, that's great. Thanks for the donation.
Oh okay, so if Gummy escaped the house for a week and someone thought he was a stray, and killed him to prevent birds and mice from being killed, that's morally acceptable and you wouldn't have a problem with it, right?
Not necessarily. If they can just pick him up or something and then scan if he has a fucking tag, that would be the better thing to do. But how the fuck would he escape? Like, I'm a responsible pet owner. Fucking idiot.
Nick,
Because they commit crime. And listen, it's not...
Nick,
what?
That's not true. It's not true. Are you saying that police brutality as it relates and racism in the police force, in the way in which police treat African Americans? Nick, you could grow up here like I did between Wilmington and Philadelphia. And if you were a black dentist and you lived in Wilmington and you commuted to Philadelphia, the chances of you being pulled over by a state trooper, either Delaware or in Pennsylvania, are about 50 times that would be if it was a white guy.
Okay, so yeah, this is just fucking stupid. So he's conflating arrests with shootings. So first he said cops are shooting black people like crazy. They're not. Police actually, this is being studied, police actually have more discretion when shooting black suspects. When you consider the amount of police interactions that happen between black suspects and other non-black suspects, when you account for that, and when you account for the crimes being perpetrated, so violent crime versus non-violent crime, cops are less likely to actually shoot a black suspect. Now he's talking about just like stoppages and arrests. That is where there is a clear racial bias. Police are much more likely to stop and wrongfully arrest black people. They are not more likely to shoot black suspects. And again, the number one killer of black people are other black people. Like, it's kind of bizarre that, like, there's this Black Lives Matter thing that was going on with the police. Like, again, we know the statistics. Black people are less likely to shoot black suspects. And all this outrage over some of these police killings, most of them were justified. They were like, there were riots going on when a cop shot and killed a fucking black suspect who was like overpowering him and trying to fucking steal his gun and kill him. And there were riots for that. And this guy had a fucking huge violent criminal history too, with armed robberies and shit. So again, the number one killer of black people is other fucking black people. So if you're gonna like campaign about like, you know, black people getting gunned down, you should talk about the problem with fucking black community where you have these black people forming gangs where they just fucking shoot and kill other black people.
WTF are you talking about, man? There was plenty of criticism over the US intelligence services failing to prevent 9/11. Seriously, you have an altered sense of history. There is not a...
That's great. We were talking about Biden, not the overall fucking political discourse, dude. Like, I don't need to fucking explain myself to a fucking retard.
50 times. And so what you're trying to tell me is that the problem in America right now is that a 26-year-old white kid who lives in...
I love how these people fucking try to waste my time. We're talking specifically about the fucking shit that Hunter Biden was saying. Oh, well, if you look at the mainstream media at the time in fucking 2001, actually there was a lot of well, we weren't talking about that. We're talking about Hunter Biden's statements, you fucking idiot. Holy fuck. And then they expect me to listen to that whole fucking ramble because you gave me $3. Thanks, dipshit.
Never mind, here is a better story for you, VG. Speaking of donkeys, VG, let's see how the Palestinians treat them.
Animal this is? Think again. It's not a zebra. Zookeepers in Gaza City have painted up their donkeys to look like zebras in hopes
This is probably very bad for them.
of drawing crowds to their dilapidated zoo. The zoo used to have 2 zebras, but they died of hunger earlier this year when they were neglected during the Israel-Hamas war.
Typical.
You specifically mentioned 9/11, so I responded to that. Also, I love how you think everyone is just wasting your time, as if anyone cares what you do with your time. Lol.
That's great. Thanks for the nation, stupid.
The popular animals were too expensive to replace, so keepers decided to design a pair of donkeys with black and white patches.
These people are like these people belong in a fucking zoo. They should be in the fucking like monkey or chimpanzee exhibit. Like, just fucking retards. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
in suburban Chicago doesn't feel like he has access because he's been canceled or he's been woke, and the problem is black people.
I didn't say the problem's black people.
Well, you just did, Nick. You just
said
said
the problem is crime, and we know who's doing the crime in Chicago. The carjackings, shootings, teen takeovers. We know why there's no business on the Mad Mile anymore, and it's because they steal cars, they drive them through windows. And listen, black people are some of the biggest victims of the black crime. But we're not allowed to talk about it because of the racial
What do you mean you're not
dimension.
allowed to talk about it? We're talking about it right here.
Hey, guys,
you have a platform in which millions of people listen to you, Nick.
I think
Millions.
Well, after Elon had to buy Twitter and open it up. It wasn't like that before. I was banned from everything for many years. So no, you weren't allowed it. You're right. We can talk about it now, but that's only because the good guys won.
Hey, what's up, guys? There's something I forgot to tell you about. We also just launched our own streaming platform called C5.now. We have 5 films on there right now. Film number 1, The Art of Protest, made by the homies over at Indecline, who we interviewed a few months back. Film 2, Rat Film by Theo Anthony, set in Baltimore, investigates the lives and times of the rodent population through the eyes of the people who love the rats of Baltimore, study the rats of Baltimore. Documentary number 5 is my own. Had to put my app. So get your popcorn, get your remote, sit down. It's time to learn. I'll see you guys soon.
You went from being banned on Twitter to being on YouTube to creating an
I'm not
entire
on
show.
YouTube.
I know you're not, but now you have Kick and now you have all of these other things. You have an enormous platform. I want to find common ground of how much of a shithead Donald Trump is. We can get there. We can get there. Okay. What I don't understand is how you didn't recognize that in 2016, and how you didn't recognize that in 2020, and how you didn't recognize that in 2024. Because Donald Trump hasn't. Because Donald Trump hasn't changed. Donald Trump hasn't changed at all. Donald Trump has been Donald Trump since he came out of the womb of a woman that was an immigrant to this country. And so, what I want to know though is that I don't know how we get past this idea that the biggest problem that you have with your
Dodo Donatellers, who do you think will win in Michigan Senate primary, VG, Haley Stevens or Abdul El-Sayed? Probably Haley Stevens. That's what the polling data suggests, right? Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
personal situation and how you extrapolate that to the situation of other white kids that are your age, that feel disenfranchised, that feel left out, that feel they don't have a shot at the American dream, is because of black and brown people, because of Mexicans, because of Venezuelans, because of Haitians, it's always other, Nick, with you. It seems to me, and I've listened to a lot of the stuff, it's always them. We need to build a wall. Where's the wall, Nick? He never built the wall. Why'd you vote for him in 2020? Why'd you vote for him in 2024?
I didn't vote for him in 2024.
Okay. My point being is that whenever you identify your problem as being something that is other, that you can point to, that's a minority, that is a group of people, that's the Jews, I mean, before, remember, all of us, it was the Irish Catholics who were committing the crime, who weren't allowed into bars, who weren't allowed into, because you know why? Because they were dirty, poor, non-Europeans, they were Irish. Every time it's wrong. Every time history has proven that to be wrong in the United States of America. Every time. Inclusion has been our greatest strength. Diversity has been our greatest strength. And I hear you talk about this idea of white culture. What fucking white culture are you talking about, man? What
Shakespeare, Dante, Mozart. We're in Philadelphia, the founding fathers.
Yeah.
That's your white
culture. How about the Count of Monte Cristo? Would you consider that part of our white culture?
Sure.
Okay, well, it was written by a black man in France in the 1700s.
In a milieu of European civilization.
So what?
Because you're picking out one example. It really
I'm not
is.
just picking out one example.
It really is.
Nick.
Listen.
Nick, I'm not. I really am not.
Hey, guys, I think we're reaching what's called a rock in a hard place. Let's talk about Israel.
Let me respond to this because you're telling me I'm always blaming the other.
No, Nick, for real. Here's the thing, is that the way that you talk and throw out these historical facts, which, by the way, aren't fucking facts. Okay?
Which ones aren't facts?
As it relates to the Civil Rights Movement in 1968, and the reason why we're out of the problem that we're in is because the Civil Rights Act passed in 1964. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed and shot by a white racist, white supremacist in 1968 on a balcony of a motel. That's the root of our trouble.
I've looked into the Martin Luther King shooting, and it is so fucking bizarre. The guy who supposedly shot him denied that he did it. There were a ton of witnesses that said they never saw him around that fucking area, and that some of the places they saw him, he wouldn't even have been able to make it to that spot that he committed the shooting from in time. It's really, really weird, the kind of conflicting evidence. That MK Ultra stuff was just recently brought up again. I wonder if some of this might have something to do with MK Ultra, where it was the CIA that wanted to assassinate Martin Luther King, and they mind controlled somebody to do it. It's a really weird story if you look into it. Wendigoon has a good video on it.
Because an entire people that have been disenfranchised and enslaved for over 400 years.
We're sick of hearing about that, though. It's 2026.
You may be sick of hearing about it, but you know what? They aren't. And I'll tell you what, Nick, here's the other thing.
No black people give a fuck about slavery. It does not affect them today.
Get over it. It's America.
But Nick, you can say stuff like that, okay, without having to say it like that. And look,
That's not how it started, though.
This is a legitimate argument, but it's Nick.
Guys, Nick, Hunter, what do you guys make of the concept of community collapse? Have you guys heard of this?
No.
So it's got nothing to do with race, it's got nothing to do with money, but this is kind of a crazy stat. So in 2019, before COVID, 76% of Americans said they were part of an in-person community that gave them some kind of value. After COVID, and this year, it was 19%. So I think that politics and race aside, one of the biggest issues is the collapse of social bonds, third spaces, communities, in-person engagement, which comes with loneliness, more time online, and more division. I understand. I feel like you guys aren't going to agree. I want to talk about what you guys think can be done on an individual and community level to stop people from hating each other and to create more belonging and engagement.
Well, number one, I think this. Okay, for real.
Podcasting.
No, not podcasting. This discussion. For me to be able to sit down with someone who I so vehemently disagree with and find some kind of common ground.
But I mean, guy at home who's watching this on his phone just thinking, I wish I could go outside, but I don't know anyone.
Okay, well, here's what I'm talking about. It's all about connection. It is all about actually connecting with people. And I'm not talking about digitally connecting with people anonymously online. I'm talking about actually going out and connecting with people. And I don't have an answer to that. I don't any of us. We are look, man, I just think that you are targeting the wrong problem, Nick. I think that our biggest problem right now doesn't have to do with this cultural divide or racial divide or religious divide or the idea that America is becoming less white or culturally relevant anymore. I think our biggest problem is literally an oligarchy that is inflaming every single division that we have. And by the way, and they're out for you, man, just as much as anybody else.
Why not agree?
So those platforms that we talk about that you're not allowed to be on because Elon's out on the platform. Elon doesn't give a shit about anything other than one thing: money.
Real quick,
money. It's his money.
I don't necessarily even agree with that.
Okay, well, you may not agree with that because you don't want to piss off Elon Musk.
Elon doesn't even like me, but I just disagree.
You're talking about the oligarchy, right? Like these billionaires, right? Like the goal of corporate capture of these industries is community collapse. They are trying to engineer things to make it antisocial. They want to eliminate every single small business. They want to make everyone a single person shopper, no carpooling, like to be a lonely consumer who only buys things for themselves online and doesn't talk to anyone in real life. That's what they want in real life. Like all this data center shit, like everything they're doing is in a way trying to break up in-person engagement. And I feel like for you guys, it might be hard to answer because both of you guys are what they call like controversial public figures. Like there's places that you, like in 2018, if you were to go to a dive bar in, let's say, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, you would have been in danger. You know what I mean? At that time. For you were in danger physically in a left-wing city. It's just the truth. So I feel like you guys have been deprived of the ability to have normal lives. You especially. You know what I mean? You in general, but I feel like, you know, your controversies came a little bit later in life. For you, I feel like you haven't even been able to grow up as a normal person. Is that accurate to say?
That's true. Well, and in terms of, you know, building community back and everything like that, you know, the data says that really the loss of society is the fact that we don't encounter people anymore. For example, on your way to work or, you know, in ways that are unexpected. People wake up in their house, which is separate from everybody else. They get in their car by themselves, drive to work by themselves, you know, and then they meet with their colleagues and everything, but then they go right home, go home, have a beer, watch Netflix until they go to bed. Next day starts all over again. And so, you know, I think it has a lot to do with maybe how we structure the cities. I think, honestly, a big part of it, there's like this abundance.
Yes, they do. There are some black people who still obsess over slavery today. Some of them are even asking for settlements from states that never even owned slaves, like California.
Well, those are just the fucking retard commies. Thanks for that donation, Dodo.
Mindset with liberals. Liberals want to have prosperity and everything like that. How can you have that when the cities are not safe? I think that one of the ways for...
Are white liberal women or cucked liberal men the biggest cause of the downfall of the West? Well, like, really, the responsibility falls on the men, ultimately, because why would you listen to fucking dumbass women? So, like, men run society. Like, women can fucking complain all they want, but they don't do anything. They just quit their jobs as soon as they get pregnant, and they won't do any, like, hard fucking work. They're not anywhere near as fucking productive as men. They don't work as many hours. They take more fucking sick days and days off, and they won't work extremely hard, dangerous fucking jobs that make society fucking function. So, like, at the end of the day, men run society, and if men are cucked, like, they're the ones that are responsible for the downfall of society. So, men just have to, like, fucking take some testosterone, man the fuck up, stop listening to these dumb fuck women, and, stop being, like, cucked fucking beta males doing stupid horse shit, like banning guns, letting criminals out of fucking prison, giving drug addicts free drugs, letting in a ton of fucking retarded immigrants, taxing the shit out of fucking people, you know, all the, like, dumb shit that's just, you know, making society worse.
Example, if you want to have those encounters that are unplanned or spontaneous, they're going to happen maybe on the subway, on the bus, on your way to work. People don't want to ride the subway anymore. People don't want to ride the bus. They don't
I just feel
like
that if you look at the...
Dodo don't each other is not true, VG. Women have equal rights to vote, so what can the men do besides take away the right to vote? There are bigger issues with doing that, so it's the women to blame. Women can vote, but again, look at all the fucking candidates. They're all men, with very few fucking exceptions. So again, if there's a bunch of beta male cucked men, yeah, women can vote for them, but the problem is that there's beta male cuck men. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
The data like right now, 2026, I think 2025 had the lowest homicide rate of any year in America for like the past 4 years. I feel like if you compare data from the 90s, like the cities, I get what you're saying, but the cities I have noticed are a lot safer. They're also, becoming more expensive as well. Could have something to do with it.
You're absolutely right. What you're saying, Nick, is impossible to refute, right? Because everybody has an experience with violence or witnessing a crime, or whether it's just in their local newspaper or not. Is that I don't think that is in any way limited to only urban environments. I take the top 10 poorest red states in the country, and their crime rates are 10 times what many urban centers are.
So you'd be comparing like West Virginia, coal country, disenfranchised to like an urban neighborhood.
Yeah, in terms of per capita crime, in terms of per capita murder, in terms of per capita child sexual abuse, yeah. I think the things that people really care about, things like that, is their own personal safety. Yeah. It is not limited to African-American urban or Latino-American urban environments. It's not. It exists. Carjackings do happen, but you know where they happen? They happen in Biloxi, Mississippi, just as much as they happen in Chicago.
I'm skeptical of that.
I mean, I just think the idea of like safety at risk, crime is, I feel like media has overblown the level of danger.
Everybody's going to fact check both of us on this, but I agree with you. But my point about all of it is that
what size needle do you use for IM, and do you get that at your local pharmacy? Also, your MT2 is definitely working. I can tell you wear your hat and sunglasses. Looks like you have a mask right under your eyes like a raccoon, lol.
Haven't been wearing a hat. I do wear sunglasses. I use a 30 gauge 1-inch needle for injection. That's for steroids. For peptides, it's just a normal insulin syringe. Thanks for the donation, though. I am indeed Somalian. Appreciate it. I don't think. I think it's just the light bouncing off my face. I don't think there's any skin tone difference actually around my eyes. Yeah, I haven't been wearing a hat. I wear a motorcycle helmet. But yeah, I haven't been wearing a hat outside when I go outside.
Though, is that you can always point to a reason, Nick. There's never been a time in which there hasn't been crime in major urban areas where you pack a lot of people in. You're right, though, is that the difference between us feeling like each other are neighbors and that we can find some common ground is the fact, you can live in existence now by the time you're 56 years old and never really have to leave your house to make a living, you don't go to the community center anymore. And I don't know how to fix that. And I certainly don't know how to fix it in the age of
politics,
AI.
right? Because community is like an essential human need, if not the most important thing. Mm-hmm. So when you are deprived of that, you're more likely to look for a radical solution and be like, everything's broken, we need to try something really out there. So you might embrace something more reactionary on left or right to be like, fuck this, we need something new. And so I'm not trying to draw this like male loneliness, like incel pipeline that the media tries to do all the time. But do you see a connection there between like people being lonely and having less friends and subcultural choice taking over community value systems or community engagement and people just like driving to the extreme?
100%. I think social dislocation is probably the number one problem of our times, because you look at the young people and you're right, it is one of those essential human needs is to connect and have that sense of familiarity, to be seen, to see and to be seen. And that's something young people don't have. And I think, by the way, you look at the way young people socialize and even the mentality, I think a lot of young people have this absolute drive to go to college. Why? It's an extension of high school. And what do high school and college have in common? It's a community. You're in the quad. You can see and be seen. There's sort of like a status, reputation. You're constantly involved with other people. And I think everybody, young people, look at when they graduate from college like falling off a cliff and now life is over. Because now you just have your job, the gym, and going back home, and that's it. And this is why a lot of young people then want to move to the big cities. Got to go to New York, got to go to Chicago or LA where it's happening. And they want to get a condo or an apartment downtown because they want to go to the bar scene, extend college a little bit longer. And I think that's just not really a sustainable way to have a society. There has to be a way for people to still have that sense of community outside of, let's say, college and high school, even into their adulthood, and then into their old age. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest problems going on. And I agree. I think it drives, even to your point about the whites-only community in Arkansas, I think it is driving these, let's call it ghettoization or insulation of people going into these artificial values-based communities. Yeah. Because where are you going to find people? Go online, start spouting about politics, or, even not just for incels and right-wingers, but even on the left. Someone like Tyler Robinson, he's on Discord. He's on Discord with all of the Overwatch players and all the LGBTQ or whatever. And I think that, there's a tendency there where everybody kind of amplifies some of the resentment or feelings there. So I agree, that's a huge driver.
So for you, like back in high school when you were like first kind of starting to use the internet and all that, did you build most of your community in person outside Chicago, or was it mostly online?
When I was in high school or college?
High school.
The high school, I had real friends in Model UN. That was my favorite thing. So that was.
But you were still creating like some kind of content at that time?
Not in high school, no.
Okay, so you went to BU?
Yes.
Were most of your friends like classmates there? Like when did you start to kind of build your online persona and community around?
Yeah, Fuentes is gay. Yeah, we all know he's gay.
It wasn't until I left college. So to that point, I had friends in college. And then when I left college and started my show independently, then it was all people.
Inspired me to take blood work, or sorry, he inspired me to take steroids. How often do you get blood work done, and what's a good starting cycle of testosterone? Depends on how often you need it, really. If you're just on like test and you've gotten a few labs and you kind of know what it's doing, you like every 6 months really is fine. If you're doing some more advanced cycles with higher doses and like if you're adding in new compounds here and there, then you're gonna have to get it done more often. So like maybe every 2-3 months in a case like that. And when you first go on test, you just want to start on 140 milligrams a week or 20 milligrams a day and just go from there. Thanks for the donation, Kyle. Hope that helps.
People online, and everybody I knew was people from my community for the most part.
But your cancellation from mainstream platforms.
Are leftist cucked men fundamentally beta, or do they put in an act to get vag, like in general? No, a lot of them are genuinely cucked, especially these days.
Was effectively the same thing as like a community collapse for your personal life, right?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even say it was just a cancellation, but even more just returning home from college.
What do you think would have happened to you, like career-wise and personal life-wise, if you never would have been mainstream? I mean, I guess removed from major social media platforms.
Oh, it'd be a lot easier to make friends, let's say, because being banned on Instagram, you might as well be dead. In Generation Z, that's how everybody sees each other, meets each other, talks to each other. So I think I probably have a wider, livelier circle.
Do you feel like you had less friends after that?
No, I'd say it's about the same.
No, but I mean, you said that you feel like it would have been easier to make friends.
It would have been easy to make more friends, yeah, sure.
So aside from your career, how was your personal and social life affected in those following years?
Well, it's brutal, I mean, because everybody that I knew from high school is on Instagram, on Facebook, and I'm just not on there. It's almost like you're removed from the earth. For Generation Z, I understand for older people, for different generation, people still meet up or stay in touch in other ways. But if you're not online as a young person, you might as well be dead.
Do you think you would have said some of the more extreme things that you did say if you, I guess, were allowed to remain on the mainstream internet?
Absolutely, yeah.
Looking back, and I'm not trying to get you to take something back necessarily. What's one thing that you said when you were younger where you're like, fuck, I wish I could take that back?
I don't know if I regret what I've said. It's just how you say it.
Yeah, can you think of an example of when you listen back to something, you're like, geez, I wish I could.
Yeah. So I did this rally in 2023 called Fuentes Rally 2. And the one comment I said, we're talking about a spiritual battle between Christians and everybody else. And I said, we're in a holy war. I said, and we're going to make them die in a holy war. And the second I said that, I was like, didn't mean to say that. It's an extemporaneous speech. So you don't rehearse it, you just say things. And I was like, didn't mean that. Shouldn't have said that. So it's always the how. It's always in the delivery that I...
Nick, I can think of about 4 things.
Yeah, that's a good excuse. Oh, I didn't mean it to come off that way. Yeah, we know exactly what he fucking meant.
That I really wish you would take back right now. The cookies in the oven?
Well, it's a joke.
But it's not, Nick. My wife is Jewish. My son is Jewish. No, Nick.
Well, we know it's not a joke because for years he was trying to convince his audience that the Holocaust never happened. It's just full of shit. And then, yeah, here we go. Oh, but it's so, this is just the dumbest response. Oh, but it's so insensitive. It's not a joke. We know for a fact he was trying to convince his audience for years the Holocaust never happened.
Nick, I promise you. Don't get mad.
I'm not mad.
Okay, I know, but you gotta understand how incredibly...
Do you think Frank has a fetish for tall men, and that's why he's obsessed with height?
No. It seems like his obsession with height has to do with his own personal insecurity. That's really it. He just has, even though he's not interested in women, he has narcissistic personality disorder and he has to be better than everyone else. And he just sees people, even women that he doesn't really care about, see him as inferior because he's shorter, and it just drives him nuts. I think that's what's going on. And it's not like tall men would give a shit about his height, so... Thanks for the donation, though, JP.
Incredibly. Whether it's a joke or not, it's a lived experience passed down from generation to generation, whether or not, and by the way, not just from the Holocaust, not just from 1939 on, 2,000 years of history, okay? Forget about Israeli politics and Netanyahu, because I think we agree about Bibi Netanyahu. I'm positive we do. Mm-hmm. And I've listened to you talk about it. But you got to understand, look at me, man.
I see.
It hurts. It hurts.
Does
Nick, I promise you it does. When you compare my wife's family to cookies going to an oven, it hurts. And you've got to understand that. And by the way, I'm looking at you, and I believe that you do know that.
See, that's where you lose me. That's where you lose me.
Okay, Nick, I'm telling you.
Well, listen, are we here to talk or are you here to lecture me and preach
Okay, no,
to
you're
me?
right. Let me listen.
Okay.
Listen, you're right.
So this is the thing, because, and I think this is a disconnect. I think that the left, and even people on the right, they're losing the young people. Why do people love me? Not in spite of, but because of the outrageous things that I say. Not in spite of, but because I say offensive things. Because I, let's say, drop the N-word on a video or something. It's because people are sick of the preachiness, the
Nick.
lecturing.
Okay, I'll listen
they
to what
really
you
are.
say. But Nick, I disagree. I think that you're appealing to the lowest
Do you remember when you would often say how redacted had the most beautiful supple pussy and butthole?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for the nation, dude.
Common denominator of thought. If you're hating on the people that they think are the reason for their suffering, then you must be on their side. I don't think that you believe that about the Holocaust. I think you think the Holocaust did happen. But forget about whether or not you think that it is used politically in a way that is obtuse and wrong. But I think that you do believe that. And I think that you have to. Like, what's your cultural heritage?
I'm Italian, Mexican, and Irish.
Mexican. When did they...
By the way, donkeys are also very smart. In fact, they are the smartest of all equines. They're way smarter than horses, and people say they're stupid.
They're definitely not stupid. I could believe they're smarter than horses. Like, I've met donkeys. They seem very intelligent. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
They come in Italian. When did the Mexicans come? When did the Irish come?
Mexicans came turn of the last century.
Yeah.
Italians came in the 1860s.
Yeah.
Irish came in the early 1900s.
Okay, so maybe you wouldn't care about something that is like grossly offensive just on the face of it, and think that, oh, why can't people just believe that that's funny? But you got to understand, it's from the perspective of somebody that has the trauma, and I think that there is such a thing as generational trauma, and those stories are passed down generation to generation. When you say something like that, it can...
Generational trauma. No.
Completely shut off. They can't hear another thing that you're saying about this cultural disconnect, about losing communities, about the feeling of being left out.
When people called her fat or ugly, you'd say she has one of the most beautiful...
That's nice. Thanks for the donation, 21st.
Or left behind in a world in which there no longer is this sense of community. All the other things that you say. Everybody else is left. And what you do pick up, you pick up the ones that hear the dog whistle. You pick up the ones that say, yeah, that's the way that I feel. Because it's radical. It's like he's willing to say the thing that nobody else will say in this environment. And then you get, an enormous amount of niche, but love from that. And I just don't believe that you believe that. I don't believe that you think that it was appropriate for you to say something like that. I don't think you believe that it's appropriate to say women shouldn't vote.
Let's give Nick a second to respond to the first thing.
I know I talk constantly. That's how I do this.
It's all good. It's all good.
I apologize.
I get it, and I understand that perspective, and it is offensive, and it is provocative, and that's sort of what makes it funny. I mean, what we would say in our generation is edgelording. We're being edgy. We're being provocative. And I think that it is that kind of overbearing sense for our entire...
Nick, I'm the king of edgelord.
Well, in a certain way.
Let's let Nick explain the psychology behind edgelord.
It's that overbearingness that my generation's had our entire lives. That's not appropriate. That's not funny. Think of the trauma. That's racist. That's white supremacist. That makes it funny. That makes it different, interesting. And let me grant, by the way, I think that now, and this is maybe a concession towards you, now that my kind of humor has become mainstream and popular, I don't even think that that's funny anymore. People do the edgelording thing. It's become so commonplace and so tired. I don't think it's that funny or impressive. That's a big part of why I kind of moved past it, because 10 years ago, it was treated like sacrilegious. And there's something funny about the fact that you could say a word or make a joke and make people lose their minds and freak out. And it was like an international incident if you said the wrong thing. And I think that's what made it tempting, especially for a young person. You want to rebel. You want to be defiant. You want to be a little revolutionary or something. Now, as time has gone on, I think that's become a fad. Everybody does it. It's lost its power. And I think that, by the way, part of why we're getting less of it is because instead of getting the preachy lecture from the left saying that's not appropriate, people just roll their eyes. Now, when an edgy white person says the N-word, people roll their eyes and go, really? That joke again? People hear someone wears a Nazi costume, makes a Holocaust joke. People go, really? That joke again? It's not impressive. It's not funny anymore. We've seen it before. And ironically, that is what makes you get less of it when you disempower those things by not giving them this over-the-top reaction, pretending like it's some great travesty.
So you think the new counterculture is going to be woke again?
No, I think it's a synthesis.
A synthesis of post-edgelordism and wokeism?
Yes, because I think that wokeism had its excesses.
Yeah.
Edgelording also has its excesses. And I think now we're finding a middle ground between saying the edgiest thing we can think of with no regard for anyone and saying everything is racist. If you say something, you should lose your job. We're finding a middle ground where, maybe it's tastefully offensive in small doses, less is more.
So it sounds like you believe in the survival of the American experiment.
Yeah, I really do. And listen, I don't think everything about wokeism was bad necessarily.
What's the best thing about wokeism?
I think that genuinely it has made people more respectful and empathetic. Because let's be honest, 20 years ago, let's say when I was growing up, I think there was a lot of cruelty. And I think there were some hateful attitudes. And I think as time has gone on, this younger generation, they may
Kind of surprising for him to say that.
not be even...
I don't know if he really believes this shit, because, he likes Hitler and everything, but he's definitely trying to appeal to more mainstream crowd now.
They are, in fact. They possess better problem-solving skills, a strong long-term memory, and a thoughtful approach to risk assessment.
Well, that's pretty cool. I like donkeys. Donkeys are friends. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Even left-wing. They may not be what you'd consider woke, but I think they are respectful of people that have different ideas or, different way of...
No, I don't think I've ever tried mega stuffed Oreos. Favorite Oreos so far being the pumpkin spice Oreos, but they never brought those back. I'm not into Oreos anymore. Yeah, they lost. I just for whatever reason they lost the appeal for me. I'm just eating clean from now on. Really don't eat any junk food.
Of life or from a different culture. We make jokes all the time about the fact that I'm like a far-right guy and I'm Mexican. People say I'm a white supremacist, I'm Mexican. And people make a joke that a lot of far-right people are Hispanic. And I think that's a consequence that there's very little genuine racial hatred in anybody's DNA anymore, or any kind of hatred. And I think that's positive, but that went too far. I think some of the...
Can you please draw yourself in the midst of a roof rage, flexing your muscles at a terrified elderly woman who is in a wheelchair while screaming at her, "I am stronger than you. Admit it."
Okay, I can do that. Why? Oh wait, I'm being retarded. Okay, there's me doing a roof rage, shouting at an old lady, saying I'm stronger than you, admit it. Thanks for the donation, Jessica. Appreciate it.
If there were a leaderboard for vegan gains watch time, I'd probably be at least in the top 10 if not top 3. I know all about the cringe and retarded shit he's done and said over the last 10 or so years.
That's nice. Thanks for the support. Appreciate the donation 21st. Kid Boo donated $2.
Hey, come on. Hey, we'll fight at the same time. Same time.
Hey, Mike says jump in.
Okay, well, I don't want to watch too much of this because YouTube has an issue with violence, but big black guy versus two skinny white kids. We knew how that was going to play out. Thanks for that donation, Kid Boo.
The other stuff went too far as well.
You know, one of these strange things about sitting in a room with these two is that they agree on almost nothing, but they've both lived the same nightmare. Hunter had a laptop turned into a decade of strangers picking through his texts, his private photos, his voice memo, and even his bank record, whereas Nick...
Is it the fiber that makes potatoes so healthy? Well, they have fiber, they're high in vitamin C. You know, they're just fine.
...has been doxxed, swatted, had his DMs leaked probably more times than he can count, and more shenanigans. Number. And guess where they got that stuff? Looking for...
Oh, all white people for the most part.
And you can all caps 60% off. All right, back to Hunter and Nick. ¿Hablas español?
No, not a little bit, I guess. From high school.
Can you do a little bit?
Un poco.
Okay,
I don't speak it from my dad, so.
Did you grow up like around a lot of Mexicans?
No, all white people for the most part.
Did they know you were Mexican?
They did. And I'm not gonna lie, I mean, people made fun of me for that.
What'd they say?
Well, like for example, one time, when I was in Model UN, I was entering high school as a freshman. They looked at my name on the roster without knowing me, and they told me this after the fact, the leadership of the club. They said, oh, we thought you were just some Mexican kid, so we gave you a bad committee assignment.
Wow.
But see, I heard that and I laughed. I said, that's funny. You know, whereas a lot of people would say, oh, that's traumatic. I'm a victim of racism. You know, I think that's, you know, it's just a human thing.
Yeah, I always felt like growing up as like a white kid in America.
What if you went, wait, what if you were and identified as being Mexican and they came to you and they didn't tell you that's the reason that they gave you all the bad committee assignments?
That would be unfair.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm just saying.
That's the whole point, isn't it?
And
so
I'm
you
not...
may find it funny because you pass as a white Anglo-Christian.
Do you think I pass?
What?
You think I pass as a white Anglo-Christian?
Well, I not only think you pass, I think you identify as it. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. No, but really, for real. And my point is that I heard you do an interview, okay? And I literally on the write up here, it's like you were talking about how you were raised on like Mark Levin in high school.
Right.
And the thing that you liked the most about Mark Levin is how cruel he was to the callers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that. Like the joke about the cookies. It may be a joke and it may be edgelording and you may not really mean it, but you got to realize the cruelty to it. And without going like, oh, like, you know, whan, like, you know, people got to stop crying about the past. And that's the thing, is that I think that you have such an opportunity to talk to a generation of disaffected, angry, legitimately angry people in a way in which is positive without having to do that shit. And by the way, and I'm not holding you responsible for, like, you know, the end of you know, my conception of Western civilization, which is different than yours, but I just don't get it. I don't get why you find the cruelty. And I think that, by the way, I think that that's why you like Trump. I mean, I'm making, you know, like a very unfair leap because his first instinct is cruelty. His first instinct is to find the fault in the other about everything, by the way. It's not his fault that we're in a war with Iran that he's ended 38 times and, you know, and started 39. It's not his fault that inflation's high. It's not his fault that the wall didn't get built. It's not his fault that ICE is killing people on the streets in these places. It's the cruelty of it. Maybe it's a generational thing. I got friends who are Jewish that are going to be really, really fucking pissed off that I'm sitting next to you. And what do I tell them? What do I tell them why it's okay for me to sit and have this conversation with you?
I guess I just have such a different opinion of that. You know, why should we have to explain ourselves to talk to anybody? And why is it that saying the wrong words or making a particular joke makes it so the Jewish person wouldn't want to watch my show? I have a lot of Jewish fans. I mean, some of my best friends are Jewish. I've had Jewish employees, and they recognize that, you know, just because I'm not necessarily nice all the time doesn't mean I'm hateful, doesn't mean, I don't even think they see it as cruel. I think they see it as it's a little rough around the edges. And maybe that's the difference, is I guess it's just attributing this weight to something that be considered a joke and maybe doesn't have a cruel intention behind it. Like, you know, Mark Levin, you got to remember at the end of the day, it's an entertainment show. It's entertainment. People call in. He gets frustrated with them. It's part of what I do on my show. And it's not always nice, but it's funny. And I don't think it's mean-spirited necessarily. And I don't think it's that big of a deal. So, I mean.
AI absolutely makes companies run cheaper and more efficiently. That is not true at all. There's a reason they're using it.
The thought that I would, like, for example, with you, people would say, why do you talk to Hunter Biden? His father and his DOJ froze your money and put you on a no-fly list. I'd say, so what? I mean, it's just talking. I don't think talking's a big deal, you know?
Froze my money and put me on a no-fly list, too.
There you go. See, so we got that in common.
So different question that I have that kind of weaves everything together. How do you think like October 7th and the subsequent like pro-Palestine movement and the online worlds it created led to a growing audience on the right?
October 7th in particular? Well, I think it highlighted and brought to the forefront how captured the right wing is by Israel, which is very unique. I think the Democrats and the Republicans are pro-Israel, but the Republican Party has this inextricable institutional connection with the Israel lobby, with this Likud government in particular. And I think people just started to see the hypocrisies. The hypocrisy was brought to the forefront, which is America first, but not with Israel. No new wars except for with Iran.
Under Trump, we will have no more wars, no more wars, no more wars. They said he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. Tonight, Iran's Navy is gone.
You know, we're going to be racist and all these things, but don't you dare be anti-Semitic. Don't even, think about it.
I see good things about Hitler also. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
So I think that on the right wing, it made it unignorable that there's this ideological institutional capture.
I just feel like a lot of straightforward, like just anti-Semite influencers were taking advantage of the post-October 7th discourse to push other ideas, broader ideas about Jewish people as a whole.
Come out and say it. Like, I think that Jews are causing a disproportionate amount of problems in the United States.
Well, I mean, I think it's hard to ignore some of those other conversations. I know that it's now become maybe in vogue to say that the Israel issue is very narrow. It's just Netanyahu. It's just the Likudniks. It's just the Israel lobby. But, what would you say about someone like Larry Ellison? I mean, somebody like that, I don't think fits neatly into this, let's say, problem of Netanyahu.
Acton, donate $2. Let me see.
Spirit.
Thanks.
As far as installing Barry Weiss and whatnot.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Because this is somebody who's not Israeli. He's not even a religious Jew, but he's ethnically Jewish and has this deep affinity for the state of Israel.
I feel a deep emotional connection to the state of Israel and the Israeli people.
And is using and mobilizing his power and resources and connections to benefit Israel in the private sector. And so if you were to say, what's a law that we could pass to prevent that kind of influence, what would it look like? He's an American citizen. He can't buy a media company and hire Barry Weiss to run CBS News. And yet we recognize that's a big problem.
I just feel the conflation of like anti-Zionism and like Holocaust denial played into the hands of the Israeli propaganda apparatus, because then they can say, hey, look, these people that oppose what we're doing in Palestine also don't think the Holocaust happened. It's a big jump in the public perception.
It was almost, to me, as if that was your intent, to lose any legitimacy about any argument as it relates to Israel and the Likud government, is to say those edgelording things or whatever.
Jews are money changers. Bullshit artists, psychopaths, charlatans, grifters,
The only reason Jews got into banking was because they were forbidden from doing any other job.
manipulators.
I don't know anybody that can hear you after you say that, including myself. It delegitimizes everything, because I don't think that you a little bit more compassion.
Let's try to stay a little. I don't want to do any character attacks on Nick.
I'm not attacking his character. I'm not attacking. I promise you. I'm
no,
not.
as far as compassion, I more just mean straightforward. Do you feel like the rise in anti-Semitic online influencers post October 7th has given Israel more ammunition to work with in terms of casting everyone who opposes what they're doing as just like a rabid Jew hater?
In some cases, yeah, in some cases, sure. But I also think that's overstated, because I think that, look, let's just be honest. I do believe the political left wants to make the Israel issue very narrow, and they want to say that the issue is this genocide in Palestine. And on some level, they think that the Israeli government is racist.
You f***ing baying pig. You f***ing bloodthirsty, violent pig dog.
And that's the problem. And I think that ignores that there is a broader conversation, and it does have to do with the Holocaust, and it does have to do with Jews as such, and Jewish nationalism and Jewish identity. So to try to shoehorn it in and say, well, if anybody goes further than this very narrow critique of Israel, well, they're actually helping Israel, I don't agree with that. I think we have to unpack the whole conversation.
Well, do you care a lot about Palestinians?
Not more than I care about anybody else.
So I guess that would be why they would be like, okay, you're just taking advantage of this discourse.
I don't think it's taking advantage.
He just hates Jews. All of this is fucking bullshit. Like, it's just beyond retarded.
I think that we can sympathize with the Palestinians while also realizing that, look, I'm an American.
By the way, Andrew Callahan, who runs this channel, Channel 5, he's a fucking anti-Semite. He's gone to Israel, or not Israel, like the West Bank and shit, occupied territories. And he's made these extremely biased, retarded fucking documentaries where he just basically recites Hamas propaganda. So no shit, he's going to softball Nick Fuentes here. And Hunter Biden seems fucking retarded on this topic too. It's just the cucked, brain-rotted fucking horse shit. Like, oh, well, Israel's going too far and this and that, and they have too much control of the government. Like, they have no control of over the U.S. government. It's just nonsense.
And so it's a tragedy what's happening in Palestine, but there's tragedies happening all over the world. My problem is that Israel has this influence over our government.
I'm a newcomer to politics, but not to backing the Jewish state.
And we're paying for the genocide, and we're furnishing them with the weapons to commit the genocide. And by the way, America is going to be held liable for this genocide, morally, but also politically and diplomatically and otherwise. But I think that people on the left, they may be guilty of maybe caring more about Palestine than they do about America.
Nick, but the left didn't cancel you. The right canceled you first. The right canceled you first, and Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire, and those were the people that canceled. They may have utilized the tools of the left, or what you call the left, to be able to do that, but it was the right that canceled you. And by the way, what I would consider a radical right. The Daily Wire, to me, is a radical right.
I don't think they're even reactionary. I don't think they're that conservative at all. Ben Shapiro, I mean, he's not like he's in favor of mass migration.
In 2016, they were alt-right.
No, they were not.
Ben Shapiro and the Daily.
They absolutely were not.
Why were they were to the right of Mitt Romney?
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's what I mean. And that's
they
what
were
I'm
Mormon
saying.
conservatives.
Yeah. My point was that's who you were canceled by.
I was also canceled by the left.
No, I know. They came along. They came along because some of the more egregious things that you said is edgelording. They came along. And whether you call it canceling or saying like, what the fuck? This is what I call it. What the fuck? like, you know, like, what the fuck? You know, and so like, I don't find it funny. And just like you're able to say, well, I just think it's funny. I'm able to say, I don't find it fucking funny. I didn't find it funny then. I don't find it funny now. I didn't find it funny that some of the things that, you know, you said about me. But I'm willing to sit here and listen to you because I want to get to this. And this is my whole point. What about fucking Donald Trump?
Yeah, we can get to that. Yeah,
how did you get, of all the people in the world, but you could look at and say he doesn't believe anything.
So for context for the viewer, Donald Trump is currently the sitting president of the U.S. for our audience abroad.
Hell, I would argue donkeys are even better working animals than horses. They are even stronger than horses when it comes to loads, live longer, are calmer and friendlier, more independent, less prone to injury, and better on rough terrain than horses.
Yes, donkeys seem to be superior. I can get on board with the donkey superiority. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
The war with Iran was supposed to be over. Now we're back in business, baby. Khomeini had a pretty sick funeral, if you saw the video. So you guys don't like Trump? You used to like him.
I did.
You've always hated him. He's tried to destroy your life.
Yeah.
You guys were cool. You guys hung out once in Mar-a-Lago with Kanye. You've never hung out with Trump, right? Would you want to?
No.
Do
I want to? Yeah.
Okay.
Look, man, I would. Like, can we get him? Can we get him in the hotel room?
So I want you to imagine. I want you to imagine he's in the
Do
motel.
you think there is such a thing as objective morality, or is it ultimately subjective?
It's subjective. Anybody who's a moral realist is a retard. Thanks for the donation, Orban.
With us. Yeah. That's Trump. What do you want to, what do you want to ask him?
Oh, you know, put me on the spot. I don't want to ask Donald Trump anything because I know, and I think you would agree with me, is that Donald Trump isn't going to give me an authentic answer. Donald Trump never gives an authentic answer. He gives what people refer to as being authentic, but it's not authentic, it's audacious. It's like the example that I give that is the best metaphor for this is that he says he's 6'3", weighs 225 pounds. And everybody laughs because that's a little bit like edgelording, right? Everybody knows that he is maybe 6 feet and weighs maybe 300. 285?
He's a big guy. He's a pretty big guy.
Yeah, big guy. But by virtue of every picture ever taken of anyone that's 6'3", he's not 6'3".
I am.
Okay? Yeah, I know you are.
Thank you.
You're 6'2.5", maybe. That's maybe. But my point is that the reason I don't have a question for him is because I'm absolutely certain that he is not going to give me an authentic answer. Look, he came into the Oval Office in the transition this time. And he told my dad that he thought that he did an amazing job. He did an amazing job with the economy. He did an amazing job with NATO. He did an amazing job and that he got a raw deal from his side and anything he could do, particularly for Hunter. Hunter got screwed. Whatever I can do, you let me know. Bullshit. He then went out and he has now since then done nothing but blame Joe Biden for every single one of his problems.
11 months ago, I inherited a mess. Joe Biden handed us over a country that was in very serious trouble. Biden gave us a horrible economy. And I really mean this. I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy.
He mentioned my dad's name or my family's name 6 times a day in the first 100 days of this administration. 6 times a day. He does it maybe 4 times a day now because he has no answers. All he has is a finger to point. And that's all he does. My point is, I don't know what to ask him. You know, why are you such a dick?
What does your dad think about the war?
Right? What I'm not going to get into what my dad thinks about the war. Is it really because I don't want to get into. I don't put words in my dad's mouth. Just like I wouldn't ask you what your dad thinks about the war. But your dad wasn't the president of the United States, which is a little bit different. But you know, all I can say is that every single Israeli prime minister since at least Jimmy Carter was president, has walked into the Oval Office or picked up the phone and called the president and said, we have to attack Iran. And every single one of them has said no. And they may not all have had the same exact reason, but one of the reasons they did is because they knew what the consequences would be as it relates to the lifeblood of the economy, is petroleum in the Straits of Hormuz. Every single one of them knew that. And every single one of them knew that there is no way, unless you send in ground forces, to end with certainty the nuclear program that the Iranians have supposedly been building. Every single one of them knew that the existing Ayatollah at that time, had put out a fatwa, an edict, saying that they would never turn their nuclear technology into a bomb.
The supreme leader of Iran issued fatwa having nuclear weapons is forbidden, is haram, which means never.
Yeah, that's a cool
Are professional
story.
athletes on steroids? You look stronger and more athletic than them. Kevin Durant is a top 10 basketball player of all time and couldn't bench 185.
Yes. Just because you can't lift that much weight doesn't mean you're not on steroids. Steroids don't magically make you a massive, super strong bodybuilder. You have to train to get the adaptation from them to be big and strong. Long distance marathon runners take very high doses of testosterone, boldenone. Those are the two main ones they use, and they also use tren and EPO. So they use steroids primarily to drive up the red blood cell count, but because they don't do any weight training, they stay skinny. Same with basketball players. They don't do that much weight training, but again, it does make them a bit stronger, more resilient. They heal faster, more aggressive, drives up their red blood cell count, so they have better blood flow, better cardiovascular endurance. And apparently with basketball players, they're big into human growth hormone, so it increases bone mineral density. They're less likely to break a bone in weird ways. Connective tissue strength, like they have to worry about like twisted ankles and stuff. So yeah, just because they're not massive, huge, jacked bodybuilders doesn't mean they're not on steroids. You have to lift weights and train like a bodybuilder to get big on steroids. If you don't, then you're just going to stay small. Thanks for that donation, Dan, man.
We can have nuclear weapons.
It was a religious edict as strong as if the Pope had released an encyclical. But what did he do? He kills the Ayatollah. We get a son that now has a far more radical and far greater ties to the IRGC. And what do we have? The Straits of Hormuz are still closed. He said that they're brilliant people. I find that that's Donald Trump on everything. He said he'd end the war in Ukraine on day one.
That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president.
And I didn't hear anybody on the right and say, that's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. He said he would build a wall. I don't believe in building a wall. But everybody said that's bullshit. And then when he got into office, the corruption, the level of the corruption, I mean, people believed or led to believe that there was this thing called the Biden crime family, right? I know that you know is that I didn't do a single piece of business when my dad was president. I made basically $200,000 a year selling paintings. I picked the thing that was the furthest possible thing away from politics that I possibly could. Don and Eric have done over $1.3 billion in contracts, just in contracts for underlying companies that they have an ownership stake in with the Department of Defense. Don Jr. got the largest loan ever given by the Department of Defense of a company that he bought into like 3 months before they got the loan. Because Peter Navarro picked up the phone and called DOD to get it done. My point is, I don't have anything productive to say to him that I know of. And when I listen to you, and I listen to what you do, my question is how did you not see that before? He was a disaster in 2020. A complete and utter disaster as it related to what he did with COVID. Regardless of whether you think we're supposed to be wearing a mask or not.
The question for Nick is, how did you not...
I wouldn't say a complete disaster. Like, Operation Warp Speed was really good. Even though now he tries to downplay it in a weird way because of the anti-vaxxers.
Vegan teacher, any thoughts?
No, thanks for that donation.
Realized 6 years ago that Trump would be this sort of letdown.
Because he doesn't hold, you know, there's no ideological core to Donald Trump.
No, I agree with you. Well, you got to realize in 2016 where Republicans were at. We had John McCain, we had Mitt Romney, and the perception on the right is that they were insufficiently conservative and that they were losers. All they do is lose because they don't fight. There was this perception that the Democrats are ruthless fighters. Obama crushed in 2008, crushed when we thought he really should have lost in 2012. That was a Republican perception that Romney let us down. And so when Trump came on the scene in 2016, it was new, it was refreshing. He seemed like somebody that was really going to take on not just the Democrats, but also the media on our behalf. And what's more, you got to think about the mood of the moment in 16 as well and the message Trump was giving. Trump said in 16, it's just me and my son and my wife. We don't have any donors. We don't have any special interests.
More than $100 million put in of my money, meaning I'm not taking all of this big money from all of these different corporations like she's doing.
We're going to put America first, make the country great again. This is a very appealing message. And I talk all the time on my show about it and realizing now that it was obviously a scam and now obviously unfulfilled completely. And you're right, Trump is non-ideological. The message was brilliant because it said, one, the system is broken. America's not great anymore, but it used to be. We can make it great again, but in order to do it, we need to actually bypass the system. Why is it that we never have victories? Why is it that things don't change? Because of money. He said, and that's why I'm different. I'm rich. I'm a billionaire. If I self-fund my campaign and don't take super PAC money, then I won't have to listen to the lobbyists and the special interests. I could fire the people I need to fire, do the things I need to do. That was like a very powerful message in 2016. And after 4 years, I was one of the people even back then that said, look, it never materialized. He did wind up taking super PAC money. He took APAC money for that matter. Sheldon Adelson money at that time in 16. Even in the first term, bombed Iran. In the first term, didn't build the wall. In the first term, didn't even reduce illegal immigration until 2019. And I remember the timeline perfectly because I covered it every day. It was like in May and June 2019, 20-year illegal immigration high in terms of month over month. But why did I go for him in 2020? At the height of the pandemic, we all thought on the right that if anyone other than Trump was president, you were going to get a vaccine mandate, which we really didn't want to be forced to take the vaccine. We thought the lockdown might never end. We thought that censorship would kick into overdrive. And so we said, really, it's unacceptable that anyone other than Trump would just be a disaster. And then obviously Biden came in, and I don't think it was as bad as we thought it would be, to tell you the truth, honestly. But by 2024, I mean, I was out. In 2024, because everything you're saying is totally true. And I was telling people on my side, I was saying, he's not going to build the wall. And I know you're against that. He's not going to do the mass deportations, promising that. He's not going to start no new wars. I said in 24, he's going to take us to war in Iran. And the Ukraine war, I said, that's not going to end in one day. Too complicated. We're already in it. And so I didn't vote. I didn't vote in 2024. And I told my followers not to vote for Trump for that reason. And it was only until a year later, after all the exuberance died down and people saw the burying of the Epstein files, the war in Iran, people said, you know what? You were right. You were right about Trump. Even Alex Jones told me you were right about Trump. I was all in on him. So, I mean, as far as him being vaporware is concerned and a scammer, and fundamentally, you're 100% right. No ideological core. He's not an ideological guy. Yeah, it is. He's
literally all about him.
And I agree. He's a cruel narcissist. Yeah. And you said, I like the cruelty. I do not like the cruelty.
No, by the way, no. I didn't say you like the cruelty. I said I listened to your thing, and you said one of the things that you liked about Levin was the cruelty. And not for the cruelty's sake, it didn't seem to me like this, is because it was raw. It was, yeah. And that's so I'm not saying that.
No, but I agree. I think he is cruel. And even what he said on Easter. I mean, we're Catholic. On Easter Sunday, he says we're going to annihilate Iran, and then he made fun of Allah on Easter Sunday.
Yeah,
so,
that's based.
You know, that kind of stuff, it just totally turned me off entirely.
Is there anything that you think Trump can do to like regain the support of the, I guess, Gen Z and millennial right?
No, it's over. People see what he's made of. And Hunter's right. He's a liar. He is a liar. He is a bullshit artist. And especially, you look at what he did with the Epstein files, with the war in Iran, what he did to Thomas Massie.
This guy named Thomas Massie. There's something wrong with him. They just vote no. They love voting no. They think it's good politically.
You realize that if you are America first, you have no place in this Republican Party. Because he said it. He said our Republican Party, or rather, he said MAGA is Mark Levin, Laura Loomer, Randy Fine. He said, and who is not MAGA? Megyn Kelly, Tucker, Alex Jones, Candace. And I think most Republicans said, well, we're with those other people. We're not MAGA anymore. So
what do you think happens, Nick? I believe that we need radical change. And I'm not talking about violence or revolution or things like that. I'm talking about the only ways that you can have this kind of radical rethinking of the system. Like, there's so many questions. Like, what do you think about the Epstein files? What do you think about the accountability? Or do you think that he's broken the system to the degree that we now are basically...
Do you still believe in culling all carnivores?
If you're asking me that question, you fundamentally do not and never understood my position on it, and I'm not going to bother explaining it to you. Thanks for the donation, Dan, man.
In a dictatorship light?
No, I actually have a lot of confidence only because I think the Democrats are going to take the House in 26, which I support. I'm telling my people, vote Democrat. We want the Democrats in the House because what they're going to do is they're going to use the oversight powers to bring all the corruption to light. Because I know Republicans will watch this, and when you say, you know, we didn't commit crime, they're going to be skeptical. However, for the sake of argument, let's say the income you made during Biden was ill-gotten. For the sake of example, it's just not, doesn't hold a candle. It doesn't even come close, doesn't even touch Jared Kushner, Howard Lutnick, Steve Witkoff, Don Jr., Trump himself. It's just a different sport. It's a different game entirely. And I want all that corruption to be revealed. And I think the Democrats are going to do it. I hope they get impeached. I don't think they'll be removed from office, but I think it'll basically drag this administration to a halt. And then in 28, I think there's an opportunity for a clean reset with both sides, right and left.
Hey guys, quick thing before we get back to Hunter and Nick. So these two guys individually have been hammered on all sides by the American media for years. And if you want to understand why the coverage /Channel 5 or scan the QR code on screen, you'll get 40% off the Vantage plan, the illest plan on the dopest app in human history. Break out of the algorithm. Ground news. All right, back to Hunter and Nick. Whenever you talk about Trump, sometimes you explain this like nightmare scenario that revolves around the Vance presidency.
Yes.
What about JD Vance being in power scares you so much?
If Trump doesn't have an ideological core, then Vance really doesn't, because Vance is a chameleon. That's not his real name.
Pretty true.
Give me a good peptide site for Rita. I'm having trouble picking. 2 milligrams a week, divided in 2 days, and what injection site do you recommend? Thank you.
You can inject it anywhere. You can inject it into your eyeballs, technically. I wouldn't recommend that, but you can inject it anywhere. I just inject it into my stomach. I just pick up a skin fold, inject it there. It's easy. Some people, for whatever reason, they're prone to breaking blood vessels and bleeding if they inject around their stomach. So if that's the case, just don't inject there. Just pick up a skin fold like on your thigh or something. I can't recommend you peptide websites on YouTube, or I'm not so sure. I've seen people get banned for promoting peptide websites on YouTube, so I'm not entirely sure what their policy is. Message me on Instagram if you if you want me to recommend a peptide website. Thanks for the donation, Alan. But yeah, for 2 milligrams, you don't have to split the dose, but I find split dosing reduces side effects. So, you know, like injecting Monday, Friday, 1 milligram if you want 2 milligrams a week. It's fine. Thanks for the donation, though, Alan. Appreciate it.
If that vegan teacher mentioned redacted in chat, would you ban her? Or does she get a pass?
No, I just delete the comment. Thanks for the donation, 21st.
For openers, never had a real job. These are all sinecures given to him by Peter Thiel. 6 years ago, he's a never Trumper.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
I think that he's leading people in a very dark direction, and that's ultimately what worries me the most.
Terrible candidate. Idiot if you voted for him. Might be America's Hitler.
I was wrong about Donald Trump. I didn't think he was going to be a good president, Brett. He was a great president.
Now he's a national conservative, national populist. And so we don't even really know who he is. I mean, to me, this is basically a Manchurian candidate. This is a shell. And who is the power behind him? It's the oligarchs. It's the little tech oligarchs in bed with the CIA, you know, especially at this fever pitch with AI. I think that's really dangerous. So to me, him being president is just a worse scenario in my mind.
For the uninformed viewer, what is the Palantir-JD Vance connection?
Well, Palantir was founded by Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel's very close with David Sachs. JD Vance was given his first job in Silicon Valley by Thiel. Thiel hooked him up with it. You know, the CEO of that company said it was a personal favor to Thiel that I hired him. And then Thiel got him all his jobs at these various venture capital firms, including his own, and then funding JD Vance's venture capital firm. Peter Thiel gave $15 million to Vance when he ran for Senate in Ohio in 22. Peter Thiel secured President Trump's endorsement for him in 22, which basically got him the nomination and the seat. So, I mean, as far as anybody's concerned, Vance owes his entire political career to Peter Thiel, who derives his fortune from Palantir.
And now he's a Catholic like you and me.
Well, he's a convert, so, you know.
Beware the convert.
Yeah.
So do you think that Trump's unfulfillment of his campaign promises was a result of him being like compromised by somebody connected to that structure, or do you think he always just never cared?
I don't know that he never cared. I just think that, you know, me, I'm an idealist. So I think about the ideas and the concepts. Trump is a businessman. And so I think with him, everything's transactional. And I said this in 2024. Trump knew the voters would swallow anything. The voters would not walk away from the table because they were enamored with.
Hey, vegan teacher, are you going to go to the Veg Fest or not? Is it too far for you? I'm just wondering.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I would.
I'm going to go to the Veg Fest regardless. There's some stuff that I wanted to do in downtown Ottawa anyway, so I might as well just, you know, go no matter what.
Wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
So he knew he could break every promise with them in order to fulfill promises for the donor class, which is little tech, the Israel lobby, and Wall Street, the bankers, Tim Mellon, you know, the big asset managers. So I think with him, everything's business, everything's a transaction. And that's why you can't trust him. You have to do business. And in 24, I said we should all collectively say we're not going to vote unless he makes certain commitments. And not enough people did that. But I mean, that's fundamentally his flaw.
Your critique of this like elite power structure sounds like vaguely anti-capitalist.
It's not anti-capitalist. You know, capitalism says the capital, large amounts of capital will be held in private hands, which I believe in. I am a capitalist. But I think what is happening is that it's the way that money.
You're kind of like the issue is the monopolization of money and power that's happening.
Is used in government. There needs to be a distinct and separate national power that subordinates the money power to it. The problem is the billionaires buy all the elections, buy all the media, control public perception, and so really we're all subsidiary then to the market. So I support capitalism, but it just has to be underneath the nation, underneath the state.
It seems like you have a pretty optimistic perspective on the year 2028.
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president 28.
Kind of keep coming back to this like clean election year. Do you think that's going to be like a renaissance year for outsider candidates and outside media channels like this one?
It can be. I think it certainly can be because I think there's frustration on the right and on the left. You know, you see even in the primaries on the Democrat side, it's all DSA, progressive types that are winning. You ironically have the same frustration on the left with their establishment as we have on the right. And so I think, you know, in 2028, it's going to be a year where there'll be a competitive Republican primary and Democratic primary, and hopefully the people make their voice heard and we get some new options, you know, maybe that reflect the will of the people more.
Yeah. And so what do you think about somebody like Mamdani?
Personally, I don't like him. I don't like some of the things that he said, like, for example, on 4th of July, when he takes the opportunity to sit there with, let's be honest, not a single white person in the room and says, you know, the founding fathers would look down on us, the working people with their dirt-streaked hands against the billionaires. I think it's a little too divisive. I like his energy. I like that he's young. It's ironic. Okay, fair enough.
That's rich, buddy. But no, look,
but it seems pointed at me.
I know, but the thing.
He was dissing you in that video?
Yeah, a little bit.
Staring down the camera like, you Nick, you son of a bitch.
People like me.
Yeah.
But what I see is somebody is using government for exactly the purpose that you just said, is to break the oligopoly, to target the anger towards a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of the population that is that has controlled the levers of government from the White House down to the mayor's office in New York City or Peoria, Illinois, to that matter, and even more so as you go further down that chain.
Yeah, Andrew Callahan's an anti-Semite. I think the reason why he's softballing Nick like crazy, asking him so many questions, is because he's a big fan of Nick's anti-Israel position.
And so I look at somebody like Mamdani, and regardless of his delivery, which may be off-putting, particularly from somebody coming from your side, is
Oh, buddy, it's more than fucking delivery, let me tell you.
that he's delivering, man. You know what? I mean,
He's not delivering. He's increasing crime, making New York more fucking poor, and he's gonna just turn the whole city into a shithole. Like, this is the guy who supported October 7th.
You think that the data center panic is overblown or no?
It's just a load of bullshit. Most of that crap is just Chinese propaganda. Chinese want to destroy American data systems or data centers so that they can win the AI race. Thanks for that donation, Fad Fudge. I don't like to go to festivals that much in Canada anymore because I meet people and I never know if they want to hug me or strangle me. It's not that relaxing. Well, it's no problem. We can do a collab and stuff, you know, in the future some other time, so don't worry about it. I'm going to go to the Veg Fest with Ask Yourself tomorrow. So if anybody's in Ottawa and they want to meet me or whatever, I'll be at the Veg Fest. I have this weird callus that ended up forming on the back of my finger here. I don't know how the fuck that happened.
delivering. You know, like I saw somebody going after Mamdani for some of this stuff, and particularly about rent control. You know, I was like, well, how do you think the middle class was built after World War II and the GI Bill and rent control?
Dude, this...
I sent message on Messenger. I don't use Insta anymore.
Messenger. Jesus fucking Christ. There you go. Thanks for the donation, Alan.
Buildings that created those communities that we were talking about an hour ago.
The GI Bill provides returning soldiers and veterans a range of benefits, including mortgages to purchase homes, loans to go to school, and this really was instrumental in creating...
That's not rent control, you fucking idiot. Totally different thing.
The new American middle class.
Created the availability for somebody that was 26 years old that had a job with the MTA to be able to live and work in the city and put the kid into school with the idea that they would be safe walking there and go to a park that, you know, where the water fountains worked. That's what I see him trying to do. I mean, by the way, it's just so tired and, you know.
No, he's not trying to do that. He's trying to turn America into a communist shithole. People have talked about this. The rent control issue in New York has made housing more expensive. Rather than just letting the free market regulate, they keep adding more and more units to fucking rent control, which makes it impossible for these landlords to make fucking enough money. So then they have to massively increase the fucking rent on whatever other units they have that aren't rent controlled. And they also can't afford to upgrade any of these units. That's why there's so many like fucking disgusting, shitty, fucked up apartments in New York. Because of the stupid rent control thing. So all rent control does is massively inflate the fucking expense of units that aren't under rent control, and it also makes them shittier because these landlords can't afford to fucking upgrade. And now that he's instituted this rent freeze, there's a bunch of landlords that are going bankrupt and trying to sell their fucking properties because they can't make any fucking money on it. Which, guess what? It's just going to limit the amount of fucking properties available, and the problem's just going to eventually get fucking worse. Like, it's so stupid. And then this guy's saying, oh, Mamdani's trying to make things more affordable. Well, that's great. He's fucking retarded. That's not how you make things more affordable. Well, I'm not voting for Hunter Biden. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
you know, he's a communist. Communist, like it's about the communists. Like who even says that anymore? Nobody think. You know what?
He's a communist.
1981, and we're watching Rocky V and worried about the communists. You know what I mean? I just
Oh
I don't get it.
wow! Oh wow! This guy is so out of touch. Holy fuck! He is so out of touch. Bro, all the mainstream Democrats are now coming out against the DSA, who are a communist organization. This guy is so out of touch, it's just unfucking believable. He has no clue.
Rocky IV. My whole Philly legitimacy was just blown right there. But it's just kind of, so I look at somebody like Mamdani, I think, well, he's just talking about good government. Like, what do you think about healthcare? Don't you think that there should be a single-payer system? Don't you think that there should be some guarantee as a right? Because I don't know how you make it in this country and aspire to a middle-class life and be able to afford a catastrophic event as it relates to your health. I mean, it's over. You're done.
Yeah. I don't support single-payer, but I do believe that everybody should be entitled to some minimum level of coverage, catastrophic insurance. So, in principle, I agree.
Which is Medicare for all to a certain degree, right? I mean, because that's all the Medicare does right now. But why is that radical?
See, I don't think that's necessarily radical, but
to them, it's because we've been convinced that it's
to them, those others.
Yeah, no, them. I mean the insurance companies.
Sure.
And their lobbyists who control 55% of Congress, regardless of who's in power.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think that's necessarily the most radical. I think, though, he is with the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. He backs all these DSA candidates, and let's be honest, a lot of them are radical. Like I saw one of these candidates that just won in New York a couple weeks ago. The Chevalier candidate. There's a picture.
She hates my dad.
Yeah, I know.
She said about my dad.
She said awful things about him.
Yeah,
and she says, oh, I didn't have a napkin to wipe my hands, so I used the American flag.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I think it's crazy. But like the same way that, I thought a lot of the stuff that some people that got elected in 2016, 2020, even during the Tea Party, kind of movement was, egregious. Again, egregious.
If it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down.
So what do we do? What do we do, Nick?
I think a better question is,
for real, what do we do? Can you at least come a little bit to this way?
If you can come a little this way.
I can. Here's where I can come, is this. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
About the Holocaust thing?
Oh, about that.
Yeah. No, I mean, really.
I do. And listen, here's what I'll say. Now that I'm older, I do think that's not the best approach. So I agree with you on that. And I see it as I get older, because let's be honest, saying those things when I'm a younger guy, when I'm 18, 20, it's like, you got to think that's just the age.
Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
And a lot of young people think that's funny and everything like that. I think that it also goes with the medium as well. Live streaming, social media, that's just what it rewards. So yeah, I think that people should.
Hunter said he won't run for office. Well, good. He doesn't belong in office. This guy is just totally out of his depth.
Try to move past some of that.
I'll try. But if you try.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
For real. And as it relates to when you talk about Israel, Netanyahu, Likud government, what's happening now, what's happened for the past 20 years in terms of whether the funding to Israel, what do you think it is? It's really important that you make a decision between that and Jews. Because here's the thing, okay?
The United States gets more money back from Israel than it spends. Why the fuck is anybody complaining about this?
Zoran Mamdani has a higher favorability rating in the United States among Jews than Bibi Netanyahu does. I think 65% of American Jews disagree with the...
That's because they're fucking retarded. That doesn't fucking mean anything.
...approach that the Israeli government has right now. They don't disagree with you, but they completely turn off when they hear the conflation of Jews, Zionism, Israel, and think automatically anti-Semitism, whether it's fair or not, okay? But you have to understand it. And you have to understand it from a cultural perspective in which the recent history is only one data point in 2,000 years of history as it relates to what it means to be a Jew, of which there is what, 1%, 0.5% of the entire world's population? Because I don't know what it adds to your argument, or what it adds to your argument about Miriam Adelson being able to give $300 million to Donald Trump and commit to giving another $300 million to get her way, and we end up in a war with Iran.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a valid point. I do think, though, that the issue is broader than just Netanyahu.
Oh, maybe, by the way, it obviously...
I never said AI companies are profitable. I said companies that use AI for productivity. They're using it for a reason. It's because it makes work cheaper and more efficient. I didn't say anything about AI companies being profitable.
Netanyahu has a base within Israel, within the Jewish community here in the United States, with Jared Kushner. You know what I mean? Jared Kushner, who is unelected, not a member of our government, is having has more control over the direction of everyday lives of American people right now than anybody that I know of. And meanwhile, all he's doing is building a $6 billion private equity fund with the people he is negotiating for. And I always say, look who's paying him, and wondering whose interest that he is advancing.
And I don't know what the profitability has anything to do with people complaining about data centers. I didn't mention anything about why the fuck doesn't anybody listen to me?
He's getting paid by the Saudis, he's getting paid by the Emiratis, he's getting paid by the Qataris, he's getting paid, go down the list. And for some reason, he is in control, along with Steve Witkoff, who is also not elected by anybody, of deciding whether or not the Straits of Hormuz are going to open up and whether or not our gas prices are going to go down. It may not matter to the three of us necessarily, you know, an extra dollar or 60 cents or 85 cents, but you know what? The 85% of the people that live in America, it means it's the difference between whether or not they're going to be able to pay rent. You know, whether or not you're going to be able to actually put the gas in your car in Montana to drive to your job on the, you know, on the ranch.
Well, and here's what I'll say to you, and this is something kind of why I want to do this interview, is emphasize the message that as far as Jews are concerned in general, I think that it's the same standard that applies to everybody, which is as long as you're patriotic, as long as you believe Americans should be put first by their government, I have no problem at all. And I think that everybody in the country should be treated with dignity and respect and have their civil rights. It's just this acute problem of these people, like you mentioned, like Larry Ellison and Miriam Adelson and Jared Kushner, they're putting some other country before the interest of our own. And that, in principle, is what I have a problem with.
There is going to be some people who watch this and feel like, all right, no take backsies. And they might feel like you're just kind of trying to moderate, and that now that you've achieved your goal and got a lot of support, you're kind of moderating because your main aim has already been achieved, which is to sort of have a generational run and pop off. So now you're trying to kind of make your way more into the mainstream discourse, but you'll just go back again into the same sort of reactionary rhetoric once you're back in the number one spot.
Well, I don't even think I'm moderating. And I even told our mutual friend, it's not even a moderation. It's not even an apology. It's clarifying, because, you know, all along I've been saying this message. It's just that the way that I'm saying it changes and evolves. And I also think how people respond to it changes as well. Because let's be honest, 10 years ago, there was a very different kind of conversation about Israel. You could not mention it in a negative or critical way without being utterly annihilated in politics. We all know that ever since October 7th, that's not the case anymore. So I think that there's sort of something reciprocal happening, which is that people are receiving me differently. And as someone that's growing older and more mature, I'm even representing myself differently. So I wouldn't even call it moderating, just clarifying. People are more receptive and I'm maybe better able to articulate it.
And you think that's because you've kind of gotten older and been able to have like a longer career in media to reflect on different changes in your perhaps brain chemistry and lifestyle?
That's a huge thing. I mean, I know it's 27. I have a very different mentality than I did when I was 20.
What's the main difference, you think?
Just more even keeled. And I think you know too, it's like when you're 20, you're just like a maniac. And then you hit 25 and you're like, all right, you know.
I was a maniac when I was 49. My brain chemistry has definitely changed in the last 7 years too. You know, and I do believe that people can grow and they can change. And I'm not asking you to, and I'm not asking you to say things, but there are certain things that I just hope that you can hear without feeling attacked. That some of the things that you said, whether it's edgelording or otherwise, are really hurtful. And then people completely turn off to the idea of being able to listen to you about anything, and then you get dug in more and you're like, go fuck yourself. Like, you know, you can't take a joke kind of thing. And that's not what it is. It's not just wokeism. It's not. It's people being really, really hurt by it. And I accept your apology for all the mean things you said about me.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I'm on my apology tour. Is that the one thing you did say? You said I was a degenerate crackhead.
Me?
And I have the problem with that, not you.
Me?
Yeah. And
I also said you were cool, though.
Yeah, no, by the way, you said a degenerate crackhead, and you know what? I'm not even mad about that, because I was a degenerate crackhead. I spent more time on my hands and knees smoking anything that even remotely resembled crack cocaine. It's true.
And now you're sober. Yeah, I find it interesting. You also said that you've never drank before.
Right. Yeah, I've never had a drink. Never done drugs.
That's because you grew up, you know, with me. You're like, don't be that guy.
I grew up with you too, and I was doing.
Yeah. You're not as smart as he is. My brother never drank. My dad too. And
I was going to ask you, Nick, what kind of prompted your choice to just like be sober for life and never drink?
Well, you know, a big part of it is I had a lot of addiction in my family. You know, my grandfather was an alcoholic, committed suicide. Uncle died from an overdose from crack cocaine. My mom, two of her uncles, heroin addicts for their entire lives. And it just devastated my family, devastated both of my parents. And so I know I have that addictive personality and probably have the genetics for it. And not only that, but I like being rational. I like having my sober mind. I think that's actually a sacred thing, to have unimpaired reason. So the thought of losing control and even being tempted to get into, you know, worse things, I just thought it's just not worth the risk. So it's just never for me.
Well, how much, by the way, sorry, do we have time? Yeah. Is it, how much do you think COVID warped not just your generation, but everybody? Because I have this theory that there was this thing that broke for us with COVID, and that nobody's really come to terms with how traumatic that was for everyone.
And especially for the younger generations. I think severely less for the older generations, but for the younger people, missing the graduations, missing critical years in school, that's when the socialization happens. That's when you learn to get along. And so you think about how this generation is going to grow up having 2 to 3 lost years, you know, no sports, no school, no extracurriculars, vacations. It's devastating. And we already had a problem with that: isolation, social dislocation, loneliness. I can't even imagine. So it's going to be devastating, I think. But that's a lockdown.
So maybe if you're watching this video after this, you know, put your phone or computer away, go outside, make a friend, just do anything but scroll to the next video. Back in the day during Nickelodeon, they had Go Outside Day.
Oh yeah.
You know, I feel like we need like one day a week where it's mandated in a tech oligarch sense that no one can go on their phone or use the computer.
Man, I would love that. I mean, that's one thing. Is if we could, the one thing we could all agree on. The way I say it now is you're all carrying around a bag of heroin in your pocket. Everybody is, and it's probably even more dangerous in some ways.
Would either of you guys ever run for office?
Are you asking me for real?
Yeah.
No. I think that politics, the way that my dad engaged in it, and I'm obviously incredibly biased, is an incredibly noble thing. But that's not where my head is in terms of what I want to do. I want to reach. My whole thing is that forget all of this. I want to reach 1 million people in addiction. I think one of the biggest things about addiction, one of the reasons why it is it continues to be this epidemic, is that we don't talk about it. Is that you don't even talk about it around a dinner table. And what you realize, if you're coming from my particular unique situation, is that everybody comes to me and they tell me their story. And sharing that is like, breaks that cycle of shame. And so I want to reach 1 million people in addiction.
How about you, Nick? Would you ever run for office?
I don't think so, no. Just because I don't think you can fully be authentic when you're running for office because it's a different role. And I think my role, they say, according to the Overton window idea.
Ideas that are inside the Overton window are ideas that are politically safe. The public is ready to accept them.
They say that if you want to change people's opinions and what they consider acceptable, you kind of have to be the first to the punch and maybe considered a bad person or evil or whatever in order to promote your view. And so that just doesn't lend itself to that kind of politics. So I think to protect my own integrity and authenticity of the message, I have to not run for office.
See what we just did? We just made probably the entire audience happy. One half is glad I'm not running. The other half is really glad he's not running.
Well, if not you guys, then is there any candidate or prospective candidate that you feel like could run in 2028 that would, have a fair shot that y'all support?
Nobody in particular for me. Honestly, I haven't really been too impressed with who's come out of the Republican Party. So I'm hoping they'll just be somebody we haven't heard of, somebody maybe that hasn't been in office before.
He's voting for Gavin Newsom in 20.
That's right. Yeah. Well, if it's Newsom and Vance, I'd certainly think about it.
Yeah.
How about you? Anybody that creates a twinkle in your eye?
No, I think that there are a lot of people. I mean, I know that you think that you're going to laugh at me, but
I'd want Rubio.
I personally like Gavin Newsom a lot. I think that he's authentic in those ways. With you.
Oh my God, Gavin Newsom. What a bad choice. Yeah, Rubio, I'd say, is the most sensible candidate.
Agree with them or not. Thomas Massey's principal stand as it relates to the Epstein files was incredibly courageous.
Do not let the Senate muck this bill up. I am sorry if one of your billionaire donors is going to get embarrassed because he went to Rape Island.
And that's why he's not going to be a congressman anymore. But that's why, he could potentially make a really strong national candidate.
And you guys think America will exist in a post-Epstein capture freeway?
Will America exist?
Yeah, will America survive the current power structure's stranglehold on the media, the political system, and all public affairs?
I don't know. I think AI is going to really be transformative. It's interesting. Nobody seems to be talking about that.
Transformative in what sense? Like for bad?
Concentration of power. That's the single biggest. And you know what? I'm actually on the liberal side on this with Anthropic over the, let's say, because there's this battle between these effective altruists, effective accelerationists, and I really am nervous about what's going to happen, especially in the next 4 years, because they're racing towards this artificial general intelligence, artificial superintelligence, and that, without a doubt, is going to be the single biggest influence on the country. And so I'm really worried about that.
And what about that concerns you? Is it surveillance?
It's the concentration of power in the hands of whoever controls it. Whichever firm is the one to develop ASI, that could confer dictatorial-like powers upon the CEO of that company. So whether that's Sam Altman or it's Dario, if the artificial intelligence is aligned with its creator, that person will become the most powerful person in the history of mankind.
It's almost an inherent truth, in my opinion, what Tita said, is that the greatest leap in human evolution is going to happen within our lifetimes. AGI, let alone, superintelligence, is everything that we think about the way in which we exist in the world completely changes. And I don't think that that's in any way hyperbole. And if you listen to the people that are developing these technologies right now, they are the most alarmist.
I think AI will probably, most likely, sort of lead to the end of the world.
If you want to know what life's like when you're not the apex intelligence, ask a chicken.
And now, by the way, I think that there's an enormous possibility for incredibly beneficial things to society, like being able to cure cancer. I just think of this one thing. Everything that AI is built on is ours, belongs to you.
Nightmare blunt rotation.
I don't know what that is, but thanks for the donation, Ben Boy. One of the things that I'd love with AI is infinitely generated video games. So you could have an infinite world in a video game. That'd be pretty cool. And Google's AI now has the ability to make video games using Google Street View. I think there's actually already a mod for BeamNG where you can import Google Map locations and then drive around all these locations, but shit like that, it's fucking sick.
You, all the way back through the...
What would be really cool with AI is you could make custom drugs. That would be fucking awesome. So it can scan your genome and then determine the best drug combination for you, and then they could make a steroid that doesn't have any side effects you don't want and exactly the effects you do want, shit like that. It's going to be pretty fucking great when they have that technology.
Human civilization. That's what they're stealing from us, and they're putting it into the hands of literally a handful of people. All of that human knowledge and the value that comes from it. And I think that that's ours. So any AI that is developed, particularly that goes to HPE, it should be communal. It should be shared in the not just the beneficial offshoots of it, but the actual money of it should be shared.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it's like nuclear bombs, but it's also a commodity at the same time. The weapons potential, the economic potential, I think that's going to be the biggest thing. And I hope on some level that liberals win that argument because, you know, what Trump is doing with the Pentagon, Anthropic, and OpenAI, the way they're handling it is so reckless and sloppy. And
it's not reckless and sloppy. They need to use it for their military.
And just honestly unbelievable. So we need some adults in the room on that one.
Well, it's been a great conversation. I appreciate you guys for coming. You guys have any final questions you want to ask to each other, or maybe a message you want to give to the American people?
I still believe in.
I'm surprised how this interview went. Hunter Biden doesn't know enough about Nick Fuentes to really criticize him. And Andrew Callahan's a fucking anti-Semite who likes all of his stupid anti-Israel takes. So this was a lot more just of a friendly conversation than a debate.
In America. And I truly believe in these conversations. And I think everyone that's watching would think that I would not want to sit down with Nick. And this, I guess, what I'm getting at with you.
Yeah, like really, this was stupid. So like they're just platforming a guy who's a crazy fucking Nazi and like legitimizing him as like some, you know, like fine political commentator.
Is that I hope you see the humanity of me, and so in the way that you talk in the future, takes that into consideration. And what I'll do is I will see the humanity in you.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a great conversation, and I think that, you know, we have to come together on the things that we agree on, which is, for example, that we love the country, we both believe in America, we both want the country to succeed, and I like what you said, that we see the fundamental humanity in each other. And I think that, you know, especially in the events of the last year, the killing of Charlie Kirk, you realize that's actually not something that people on both sides share. I think there's people on the right and the left that don't see the humanity in the other side, and so maybe that's the new consensus, or that's where we can come together, is on the basis that, you know, we disagree on fundamental issues, and even sometimes it gets heated and we yell at each other, but that we do ultimately want the best for each other. We love each other. We want the country to succeed. And I think that's a starting point for any solution and any conversation.
All right, American brothers, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
buddy. After interviewing Hunter and Nick about a variety of contentious topics, not limited to, but including the Iran war and ongoing conflict in the Middle East, I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe I should just go. Maybe I should apply for a visa from the IRGC and fly to Tehran to go to a Death to America rally, after which I'll scour the scene to find the underground culture of the city and figure out how unveiled Tehran street folks actually feel about the government, and eat some great food and see some sights while I'm at it. So I did just that with the help of the OG Vice News crew. If you guys want to see our
Seeing this shit on Instagram, Arnold Schwarzenegger's son might have hopped on steroids, and he has the exact same build as his dad. It's fucking weird. Like, literally identical. Bizarre. Yeah, that is Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, right? Yeah, I think this is Arnold Schwarzenegger's son. Fucking weird. Yeah, it's like he literally has an identical physique as his dad.
Our extensive coverage captured in Iran, go to our Patreon.
Unless it's fucking AI and I'm watching horse shit, but that's interesting. All right. It is really fucking late. I am going to go to the Ottawa Veg Fest tomorrow. Probably going to get there early, around like 10:30, between like 10:30 and 11. I wanted to check out the Airsoft store first before I go. But yeah, I'll probably be there by 10:30, 11. So, you know, if you're in Ottawa, you know, I'll be there. And I'm not entirely sure when I'll be streaming, but I'll stream when I get back. But big thanks to everybody who donated on Streamlabs.